Shields up, Iron Breakers. Rurikhan here coming at you with another episode of the Third Fleet Podcast. This is episode 26 and coming hot off the heels of Update 3.0 for Monster Hunter Rise. I'm here with the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Gaijin Hunter. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. I'm doing really good. Really, really good. I don't often get to say that, but I feel very good today.
That makes me very happy. We had a fantastic hunt this my morning, your yesterday evening. We were already doing like all of the crazy new quests that they've put in there with Yuna, and that was a ton of fun. Update 3.0.
Yeah, that was like a good 2-3 hour play session, I think. Maybe more, I don't know.
Oh yeah.
It was fun.
I don't track that stuff. It's like,
yeah, I don't either.
We go. You just boot up the game, start playing, and then suddenly I just look at the clock and it's like, oh. Damn, I should be go having lunch or something. But we got actually some news, not just of Update 3.0. We also got some more news about Stories 2. Maybe we should talk about those a little bit before we get into Rise stuff, because I know that people are also interested in Stories 2. Eventually, we're going to do like a dedicated podcast just about Stories 2. I feel like that's going to need to be a thing. But for now, we're just going to talk a little bit about the stuff that was shown. So they showed a little bit more about the story. There's going to be Pits of Rage, which definitely remind me a lot of Gore, but I don't think it's going to be Gore, because I think that would be too obvious at this point.
Yeah, I mean, if people started Monster Hunter with Iceborne or even with Rise, this is like a thing in Monster Hunter that they've been doing for a while now, where like there's always some phenomenon that's causing monsters to rage out and become violent and unnatural. So it's like, they're going to run out of words to call it.
Yeah.
Eventually. Yeah, so sorry if this is an unnatural transition in the middle of my thought, but I was having some funny mechanical issues and my iPhone stole control of my AirPods from my iMac, and things went wonky for a second there. But yeah, like past months, they're gonna run out of words to call this. Right? They got Rampage, Apex. This one's a real mouthful. It's what Raid monsters. That's what they call not ray tracing, but raged.
No. You got that wrong. It is raid. So they're enraged because they were exposed to a ray, and therefore they're enraged. So raged. When I read that, I was like, what? That's some really weird stuff.
Wow. That's weird. But they're always coming up with, I mean, it's better than them saying they're Apex.
Yeah. Because Apex was already in a previous game, so that was a little bit confusing.
But yeah, there's an evil light that is destroying the natural environment of monsters, and it's up to us to solve it. And so
it makes these big holes in the ground. Yeah. But in that trailer, we got a couple of tips of one of the new monsters that is going to be, at least I don't think they had shown this monster yet. It's going to be Rathalos. They showed that in the trailer. Yes. I actually confused them for Steve for a little bit there. I was like, is that Steve? Because I'm not used to seeing them in that art style. So I was like, but no, it's Rathalos, and that was pretty cool.
I'm surprised. Yuna called that out immediately. I didn't even catch it. She's like, oh, it's Rathalos. I'm like, what? Yeah, and then it came back in the later part of the trailer. I'm like, I didn't even notice. Wow.
Yeah, and in the later bits of the trailer, it's pretty obvious that it's Rathalos. But in the very first, they just show like a close up of his face, and I was like, "What the hell is that? That's Synergies? What's going on?" Uh-huh. But there's that. They also showed what I believe is a returning character, Avinia and Frostfang. Were those in the original Monster Hunter stories?
Yeah, I was gonna ask what her name was in English, because I've only played stories in Japanese. So she's Ayuria to me.
Ayuria.
And Hyoga.
Okay, so
it's really funny that they called it Frostfang. It's not actually Frostfang. It's not Frostfang Barioth from Iceborne. This predates it, and it's just a nickname that she gave him.
It's just a Barioth called Frostfang. It's not a Frostfang Barioth. It's just a Barioth called Frostfang. That is
but Ayuria is awesome, and she's older this time. She's a flat out like older teen this time. She's like a high school student probably.
She
was really young in the first Monster Hunter.
Did she already have
just like the player.
Okay, so she didn't have like a Monstie yet, or did she have a Monstie?
No, yeah. It's the whole story with her and her Barioth, and that was
Barioth.
a huge focus point of the anime and the follow up expansion of the anime here in Japan,
Okay.
with the Black Riders or Dark Riders or whatever they're called.
But see what I mean?
Um,
This just reinforces the whole thing that I've been saying. Capcom release Stories 1
Release
on
this
the
one.
Switch. Like, what are you doing? You're bringing back all of these characters. This is not the first one, right? There was another character that's also coming back. We talked about it from
Yeah,
the
the Hunter
previous trailer.
guy as well.
Yeah, so there's like two characters that are coming from Stories 1. It's like, I guarantee you, every time I talk about this in my stream, everybody's like, man, I would totally play Stories 1 if it was on the
Uh-huh.
Switch. Like, because nobody wants to play it on the 3DS or on their phones, but it's so hard. Like,
I was
wish
I
they
was
would
kind
just
of
do
I
it.
you know last time I talked about it, I was looking at it like from a marketing perspective and how it can get confusing. But now I've got an idea, which is what they could have done is do a digital only release
Yeah,
of a remaster and then sell a special package as well where you buy either the physical or the digital version of Stories 2 and you can spend I don't know $40 more or whatever and you can get the remastered version of the first one. That would
that's what
work.
they did for instance, and this is again happened on the Wii U, was for Bayonetta 2. They're just like, okay, we're doing Bayonetta 2. It's going to be on the Wii U, and it comes with Bayonetta 1. They just straight up, here's
Oh
Bayonetta
wow.
1. Go to town.
Oh,
And I thought that was amazing.
that's crazy.
Yeah, it was really good. So yeah, I really wish they would do something like bring Stories 1. Let us play Stories 1. I'd be so happy. But yeah, I don't know if Black Diablos had already been revealed in previous trailers. I'm pretty sure there was a Black Diablos in this one as well.
Yeah.
And they show a companion from Naviru, which I don't know if he was in the previous game. Sarge?
No, that
That's a new
Sarge is a
one.
new character.
Yeah, he looks pretty cool. They also talked about monster dens, which this time around they're going to be appearing dynamically throughout the field as you're navigating it. I don't think this was the case in Stories 1 from what I've played. Like everything was static, right? You would go into caves. They don't just like dynamically show up caves in the middle of the map.
No, no, they were dynamic. Like it was just like if you were in an area and then you like did something or something that would reset it. When you re-enter the area, it's just a completely new arrayment. Like the location, the rarity, would be totally changed. So
Oh,
it
I
was kind of like mining spots in the guiding lands. Like you would go in and like the spot in which it appears changes. So there's some set locations that they can appear, but it's randomized when you enter the area.
oh, okay. That's cool. So that's pretty much the same system that they had in the original Stories 1 then.
Yeah, and
Okay.
it worked out really good.
And then there's
Kind of
a
like walking through
gene
the map and you're
transferring.
like,
Go on.
sorry. No, it's like you're walking into the map and it's like, ooh, it's like a gotcha pull or something. You're like, what do I got? How many gold caves do we have today? You know?
Yeah, that actually sounds pretty fun. I'm super curious to check that stuff out. Then they talked about gene transferring, and this is when you get into the real min-maxing aspect. So the equivalent in Pokemon would be like when you go do the breathing thing or whatever, when you get a bunch of Pokemon to go have sex with what's its name, with Ditto, right? That's
Yeah, I'm not sure if I particularly like that comparison only because in Pokemon that's a real pain in the ass. This is
yeah,
more
exactly.
like have you played Dragon Quest Monsters before?
No, but it's like the
Ah,
thing here is that in here you basically get to pick where you put the different genes and whatnot, and you can get special genes from specific monsters, and you can do some really crazy stuff. Like they showed Urzuros spitting like all of the spells from the chosen four, the fated four. And I was like, oh, okay. I thought that was maybe a little bit much, but people told me no, it was the same thing in Stories 1. And I was like, oh, okay.
yeah,
And
it
then
gets
people
pretty extreme.
and
And you
people
can even change
accurately,
the element.
yeah,
So
exactly.
I had an ice Seregios in the first game where I had transferred so many ice skills to him that his element became ice and then he became blue. Like it's almost like changing your armor pigment, and he looked really badass. It was pretty cool.
Oh, so when you change the element, it also changes their pigment. The
It
oh
Yeah, in Monster Hunter Stories 1 it did. But you there was a certain threshold you have to have gone over for it to actually switch element like completely. But
oh
you could
man.
do that. It was fun.
But
But the
basically,
gene
my
editing
chat.
is really fun.
Yeah, my chat accurately predicted that I'm just gonna have like a team of basil geese with different elements, and I was like, exactly, you got that right.
Yeah.
I'm also gonna try and see if I can get like a kurupeku to spit pine cones. That'll also be cool. Let's get a
Well,
kurupeku
uh,
with some friggin' basil goose genes, and let's go.
people doing PvP against you, they'd be like, okay, I know he's going to use a power one. I'm like, no, I'm not. You don't know what skills my boy has on him. Then you'll call him out and call in a new one, and people have to guess what it has, and they don't know, and it'll be fun.
Yeah, that sounds super interesting. I can't wait for this game. They also once again showed more stuff that I think is about how the guild supposedly has the darker side with the knights that are hiding things from everybody else. I'm super curious to see how that's going to pan out because I don't know. I just always have this idea about the guild being super secretive about a bunch of things. It's like they got to be up to no good. There's some shady portion of the guild. It's not just all, oh, let's go hunt monsters and restore the balance of nature. There's more to it than that.
Humans get power hungry, I guess, is a good way to think about it, right?
Pretty much.
But yeah, it should be really good. I'm super hyped. The story looks. I mean, there's so much voice acting and everything. And this looks like they went all out. Like this is looking like an amazing game. Yeah, so I think my plan is probably when it comes out, I'm gonna go 100% in. I think I'll just pause playing Rise or just play it sparingly, and I'm just gonna go hardcore. Stories 2 is gonna be amazing. So I'm excited to try to cover it a little bit. Although I know that Yuna's going to be really into the game as well, and so my theme this year has kind of been enjoy the experience with my daughter first, and then, if time permits, make some videos. So
that
and
is
that's been working out really good for Rise.
that is the best way to go about it. I'm very, very envious.
Yeah, I'm very lucky. I've got that. I'm in a position where I could choose to do that because I'm not a full time YouTuber or anything. It's just a hobby for me. So
Yeah.
so I still have a huge list of videos and stuff I want to do.
Oh yeah,
But
your backlog
um,
by now is friggin' huge in terms of things that you still need. I mean,
need
I
to do, yeah.
say need to get done. You know,
Yeah,
things
yeah.
that you want to get done. In
Exactly.
terms of videos and whatnot, which is yeah, but. The game itself has just been really fun. Even though, I still play a lot for content. Luckily, I don't have to spend as much time anymore in the training room, thank God. Because I love
Yeah.
Mechatetranodon, super great quality of life thing, especially for people like us. But I've had enough of him for a lifetime now. I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah, so look forward to both of us geeking out on Monster Hunter Stories too. I know some people think like it's a kids game or something, but like I think we talked about this before. But Monster Hunter Stories 1 was really good. Like it's criminally underplayed. It's a dark story, it's mature, it's got interesting dialogue that gives some breadth of lore and just interesting things and perspective on Monster Hunter as a concept.
It's
And
just
the gameplay is just awesome.
It's just to me the whole thing of a concept of like a kids game is something that always kind of rubs me the wrong way. Whenever someone sees a game and they go, even like say for instance, because I know that a lot of people go like, "Oh, Pokemon, it's a kids game." I know that I give Pokemon a hard time, but it's like Pokemon is a kids game because it's kid friendly. Does not mean that an adult cannot enjoy the game. If you enjoy a game, doesn't matter if it's a kids game. It's a game.
It means that the target audience is all ages.
Exactly. So it's like there's plenty of monsters that have that type of art style, and a lot of people are like, oh, kids games. I'm always like, whatever, dude. I played Super Mario Odyssey and I friggin'
Yep.
loved it. It's friggin' amazing. So I don't care.
I was like, you play Monster Hunter, a game that's targeted towards middle school and high school students.
There
How do you
you
feel about that?
there you go. It's like, it
Oh, it's a dumb concept.
it
It's like
is.
we can't enjoy a G-rated movie or a PG movie.
So I mean, Mario Kart's a
Uh,
kids game. You're not gonna play Mario Kart because it's a kids game. It's like, okay, man, you do you. I'm gonna play my Mario Kart. I don't give a
yeah,
damn.
more for us.
Yeah. But I think we should kind of transition back into Rise. Although I do think that there's an
Yes.
interesting point there, which is you're talking about going and just kind of like playing Stories 2 exclusively when it comes out. I think that there's also time for people to kind of start to understand that Update 3.0 is going to kind of like be it in terms of big updates for a while. Like for a long while.
Because they gave us the roadmap, and for like the next like several months, they're focused more on just adding in additional event quests and collaboration quests with Capcom IP. I think they said.
Yeah, it's just
and some other
Capcom
stuff,
IP.
Which honestly, I was thinking about this a little bit more, and I'm starting to wonder if the data theft that they unfortunately had to go through, that very easily could have wiped out the ability for them to do collaborations, because who's going to collaborate with a company that has personal data and contracts in a ransomware attack, right? You're not going to be doing business with them. So it would be considered a risk. So I almost wonder if the data theft ruined all collaborations for us. It's possible.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but yeah, I can see that. Like, say if I'm running a company, I'm like, oh man, I'm not sure if I want to work with those guys. They suffered a ransomware attack, lost a bunch of data. Yeah. Oh my God.
I mean, like because there was really sensitive data in there, like contracts with Nintendo and stuff like that. So it's like maybe Nintendo even said, you know what, this is you until we can assess how you guys are going to try to restructure infrastructure. We're not sharing. We're not doing stuff with you.
Damn.
So
that would suck.
Thanks,
so bad.
guys. Thanks, guys, for hacking companies and being idiots.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. Not only on top of the Corona situation, they had to deal with data theft, which made the game, launch how it launched. But on top of it, it looks like that might actually be I mean, we're just spitballing here, but it could be a reason why we're not going to get as many collabs as we potentially could have, which friggin' sucks.
Yeah, add that with pandemic, and that's a recipe for disaster. So, hey, they're doing collaborations with Capcom stuff. That's hype. I guess I'm a Capcom gamer. There's some franchises I don't play, but I've always loved Capcom games. I mean, Mega Man was like my thing when I was growing up. So.
Yeah, I want to see. Here's what I was thinking. We're talking about the roadmap now, by the way, guys, because we've seen the roadmap that they have. Like, there's an event mid-June, there's an event end of June, I think, and then there's an event end of July, and then an event end of August. These are all going to be like new event quests that are going to be coming out, and all of them are going to have like some kind of Capcom collab as well as DLC. Now, DLC, correct me if I'm wrong, but I read that as essentially being paid DLC, like the stuff that they've been showing.
That was my assumption, like new dances or stickers or something like that.
Yeah. So they're going to come with paid DLC as well. And the first one, they've already announced, the one that's coming with mid-June, it's going to enable you to have special layered armor for your Palico that is going to make it look like Tsukino, which is a Stories 2 character as well.
Yeah, so I know you're dreaming of getting Rondine's voice. It could happen. Could happen.
That there is, but I mean,
the hope is still there.
They're slowly going through all of the villagers, so Rondine's going to show up at some point. It's bound to happen. So but yeah,
character edit voucher.
I mean, we get one.
You know what's really
we get
neat?
one for free, so I can do it. I can change my hunter's
What's
gender.
neat is, I was in a hunt with you and I kept hearing Fugen screaming at us. I'm like, this isn't a rampage. I'm like, why is Fugen keep talking? She's like, you just noticed for the last 3 hunts I've been using his voice. I'm like, oh my god, I do so many rampages that it never struck me that it wasn't background vocals. It was her. But you can use any voice you want. It doesn't matter. They don't gender lock it if you want to pay it that way. You can use any voice you want, which I think is nice.
It's just, I think it's going to be weird if I see like my manly hunter start speaking like, it's like, what is going on?
That'd be funny.
But yeah, with that stuff, I think these are going to be the things that we're going to be getting. Also, because Capcom are kind of like focusing on Stories 2, obviously, and the release of Stories 2, and I'm assuming that potentially there's going to be some DLC content that we might be getting in there. I don't know what their plans are with that stuff, but I could see something like that take place.
So whether they do like an update 4.0 like at the end of the year or something is an unknown. It would be nice, obviously, but I wouldn't. it feels like they've set the stage already for everything that's big, and now they're just gonna play around with the elements they got. So I wouldn't expect it. I think people can, if people have been holding off either playing or making judgments or whatever it is until they could see the full breadth of content. I think
Yeah.
we've got the majority now. So I think we're at a really good spot.
I've been saying that since I've seen the update and I've played around with the update. I'm like, I think this is it for a while.
Yeah,
And
it's pretty obvious. Yeah.
And I think it's kind of there's this sentiment in the community, like everybody expected more. Like I myself, I'm going to be honest, I expected a little bit more from 3.0, mainly because of the amount of content they delivered with 2.0. I mean, with 2.0, there's like content. There's all this content completely shifting the meta, all of these things that change everything that you know about the game up until this point. Now with 3.0, it's like, well, there's not that many shifts in the meta. Here's like a new armor set. And here's a couple of new things that you can do and a couple of upgrades to some of the weapons. But I feel like the meta hasn't really changed that much. There's a couple of new things here and there, but overall, the sets that you have didn't just become obsolete overnight.
The meta. You're just chasing the meta. I guess, well, my meta is to have fun. And so my meta has increased quite a bit. There's quite a few new things to play around with in my head of what meta is, but I know that's different from what I don't even know if meta is the right word, because meta suggests that that's what the majority of players want, but I think this refers more to like the hardcore players, right? Hardcore.
I mean, when I talk about meta, I'm talking more about optimization. It's like
optimal DPS.
Yeah,
which is fine if you like that stuff. That's great. Yeah.
Yeah, but one of the things that I've noticed from my streams and my comment section is that a lot of people were expecting to get like an end game and some kind of like new loop or something like that. I myself was kind of expecting them to add some tougher fights, which they did. They added some tougher fights into the game, which we'll talk about later. We didn't give even our disclaimer for the spoiler, but just in case you guys are worried, we're not going to be talking about the final fight of the game, like the actual fight that ends the story. We're not going to be talking about
story fight.
Yeah, any details about that at all. I think we will both just say that it's friggin' awesome. I think that fight was amazing, personally.
Like if you're listening to this and you've seen the trailer, so you know that there's going to be a showdown. So we just won't go into any of the details. You should. You know what you should do if you haven't done it, because I did it this time, because I'm not going to be yelling about spoilers or anything like I was with Basil, but I just decided to go offline. I flat out went offline, what was it, the night before the update came out, and I committed myself. I said, I'm not touching Twitter, the internet, YouTube, anything. I closed down all the apps, and I went on social blackout until I got through the breadth of the content, and that was perfect. It was really hard, though. It really opened my eyes to my. I know. I have. Was it? I don't know the right term, but I have an addiction. Of course, it's something I highly enjoy. But it was really hard to not open Twitter for a day or two. Same with YouTube, because it becomes habit. It becomes habit. It's what you do. You always press that button. It's second nature. So it was kind of a good warning sign to myself that sometimes I probably do need to take a break. Because I actually did feel pretty good with having a day of less clutter in my head running around. So I think in the end, it worked out really well for me.
Yeah.
But but other than that, I think all hands are off. I think everything else is perfectly fine to discuss. And we just won't talk about the final showdown. So
yeah. So if you're concerned about that, don't be. But we will talk about pretty much all of the other content in the game. We will say, like I said, that fight is really cool, and you should definitely go into that fight and check it out and see what happens.
As I say, I just, without going into any details, though, I just want to give our emotional responses. Yeah. This has got to be one, if not my favorite final boss, I guess you can call it. I don't know what you would call it. Final quest or final story quest? I don't know. But you know what I'm saying, right? This has to be my favorite encounter. I don't think I've had this much fun. I mean, we were vocal. We were really loud too. It was late at night. We were like screaming. We were laughing. We were Like there was all sorts of emotions going on. It delivered like an 11 out of 10. It was amazing. I don't know. How did you feel about that?
I mean, I wouldn't say it's my favorite because I don't know. I was still holding out hope for the Ran. I was like, oh man, if we could get the Ran would be so good. I'm not saying that that one is my favorite. I think my favorite fight that I've ever done is
No, no,
probably going
no,
to go to.
no,
You
no,
mean
no, no.
favorite final
I'm
showdown?
talking. Yeah,
Okay.
like for most people, it was like Shagaru Magara because it was the whole staging, it was the whole story behind Gore Magala, and like the whole atmospheric part. Like that was their favorite for a lot of people. There was the showdown with Monster Hunter 3, who was the final boss for that. Um,
It was Braki, and then it was it Seregios and three
no,
ultimate?
that was for no,
Oh,
no, Synergies was for Ultimate. Anyways, you guys know what we're saying. Like, you know, big final fight, and
yeah.
it's supposed to wow you, and I think it did.
I wouldn't say that it's my favorite though, because the first time you see Atalka, what's it called? The nest of Atalka. The very first
Yeah,
time you
yeah,
see it, I don't know if
that's
this beats
hardcore.
that. Like this is really cool. Like I loved it. I thought it was amazing. I'm not sure if it beats Atal Nestus. Atal Nestus was like, what is going on? Like,
That's true. Yeah, the shock on that one was pretty high. I love that.
yeah.
You don't
So
know what you're
I don't
doing. You're
know
like,
if
what's
it
going
beats that
on?
one. I definitely like the Talcom more than anything that that world had. So you know, it is what it
Yeah.
is. Talcom is very very special. But yeah, those are kind of like our thoughts on that fight. As I was saying before, we went into that kind of like sideway that I just like. Oh, let's talk about the spoilers real quick and get that out of the way. Is like I feel like a lot of people are expecting an end game because and when I say an end game, I mean like a live service type of thing where it's just gonna keep people grinding and grinding and grinding, you know, whether they want to or not. Because that's just kind of like what people are formatted to expect from a lot of games nowadays. Because you know you have your destinies, your divisions, your whatevers, and you know then people saw with Monster Hunter World
And
like
even yeah, World and Iceborne took their little dip and said,
yeah.
let's try to mimic it a little bit as well. And you know, and we got the same problems that you get in those games with power creep and all that kind of stuff. It was really fun. But
Yeah,
it's like it's not a live service game, but it tried to mimic some elements of that.
yeah,
This is
but
not that type of game though.
the point is one of the things that I always find interesting is that when you look at some of those games, particularly MMOs, because I've played a lot of MMOs, and the thing about it is people are like, oh, I have to go grind this thing in the MMO, and when you go grind something in an MMO, the difference is they gate you. So that's the reason why you keep playing, because like they limit the amount of loot that you can get, like on a per week basis, sometimes on a per day basis, and they limit the amount of stuff that you can get, the amount of power that you can get for your character on a certain limit that you can only have this much, and then you have to come back next week or the day after or something like that. And there's a bunch of different things like that in MMOs, and it's like the difference is that Monster Hunter never gates you. Monster Hunter lets you finish and move on. It just lets you do whatever you want. And I'm like, this is better. I prefer it this way. Like, let me finish and then move on with my life because that is a much healthier approach. And not to mention that at least it keeps the game fresh when they come up with the next iteration of the game because they have time to think about it, to innovate, to do something different with the engine, like wire bugs this time around, clutch claw for Iceborne, hunter styles for GU. All of that stuff is because they allow themselves to take a break of development and actually focus on the next thing. I think that's healthier than, say, for instance, World of Warcraft that's been running for like, I don't friggin' know, 17 years now, whatever. And it's kind of like still the same game. And their innovation has actually been like on the negative side now. People actually want to go back and play World of Warcraft Classic more than the retail version of the game. I think that speaks volumes to the state of some of those games. So the whole conversation about Endgame, look, Endgame is what you make of it. Like I spent all morning playing with Gaijin and Yuna, and I wasn't doing it because I needed materials. I did it because it's fun. I play the game because it's fun. I also play to grind stuff. Like just before this podcast, I was grinding Rampages because I still need some materials there. But you don't just play for materials. That's the thing. It's a social game. You play it to play with your friends and to enjoy it. And if you find that you've done so many things and you're like, oh, I think I've done everything, there's nothing else for me to do. Congratulations, you beat the game. Go play something else and come back if you feel like playing it again. Like this is a normal thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say if a game delivers, I mean, I don't know the name of it. There's like that rule like 1 hour for every dollar or whatever. It's like if it delivers enough
I
content,
hate that
then
analogy.
it's such a weird one, but it's just because everyone's value perception is different, right? But I think there's enough there comes a point where it's like you beat the game. If you want, you can start a new game. You could do a new game plus for some, or you can pick a new weapon. You can start having, trying goofy sets and stuff. Like there's you make the gameplay at that point. Congratulations. But I mean, I want to really dig into this topic a little bit deeper because there's several parts of it I find interesting. One is like I think I got to make sure I phrase this the right way because I don't want to come up with unintended nuance that's not there. But like, look at games like Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, beloved game, loved by many of us. Maybe not the underwater mechanics were not loved by everybody, but it didn't have anything you're talking like Endgame or Endgame can also be defined as someone's like, well, I want harder versions of the quest. I want arc tempered or whatever. I was like, well, do you want harder versions of the monsters or do you want an RNG drip? What do you want? Because that game had neither, and it was just fun to play, and we played it for over 1,000 hours, many of us, and that's just because it's fun to play with friends. And it's weird because like you go online and a lot of people are like doing the same thing with Iceborne, right? Like once you finished Fatalis, that was it. Like you had the best armor in the game, you were done, and then people kept playing because it was really fun. They weren't playing necessarily because they wanted a drop item or something like that. Like, I just don't know. People say I don't want Monster Hunter to turn into a live service game. I hear that a lot, but I also hear at the same time, why isn't this a live service game? Is basically what I'm hearing, and it's like,
Yeah.
you guys are contradicting yourselves. Like, more content is always a good thing. Okay, I'm not gonna be a weirdo and say it's not. Of course, it's always nice. That being said,
I myself wanted
it's a full game.
I wanted more quests. Like that's one of the things that I talked about. It's just like just give me more quests, more things to kind of like check off the list. Like that's one of the things that I wanted. They did give us more. I just wanted even more. But then again, it does get to a point where it's like, okay, when's enough enough? Because like at the rhythm that I'm consuming these quests, it's unfeasible for them to just do enough quests that I can keep playing. Because they put out an update and I'm just like, oh. Next day, I did all the quests. It's like, oh, damn.
Yeah, so I mean, I had my expectations in check from the beginning, so I honestly was happy before we even got the update. So I was kind of like, whatever they give, as long as it's an exciting conclusion to the story, if you want to call it that, then I'll be happy. And they delivered. And what we saw with update 2.0 is some of the new other quests are quite challenging. They're not. It's just still an overall easier Monster Hunter game, but there's some good challenge there. Like the monsters hit harder, they're beefier. We'll get into the new Apex monster later, I'm sure, but like I think they delivered on a lot of stuff that people wanted. And the other thing I want to talk about is like the end game, right? Like you can't please everybody, and that's something that I think everyone needs to keep in mind, right? Like they kind of started this with Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. They had the guild quests, which were polarizing to say the least. It was like a randomly generated quest, so it was like the end game, I guess, if you want to call it that. But basically, everyone was just hunting Rajang and Shagara Magaras over and over and over again for a really good drop weapon. So a lot of people were not happy with that because it ends up, the people who really care about that end game loop are the ones that want that highest DPS. So they're doing the same thing over and over again. And then it becomes a complaint. Then in Generations, they did hyper monsters, right? And some people said, "Oh, that felt gimmicky." It was the same monster, but certain parts of its body got more powerful from time to time, and it was still essentially the same fight. Then you get to tempered monsters in Monster Hunter World. Oh, they're just bloating the values now. There's more HP, or they have harder hit zones. There's nothing really different about them. So, like, I'm actually pretty happy that there's no. I don't want to say gimmick sounds like a negative thing, but it's not. A gimmick is a good, fun gameplay thing, but
Yeah.
there's no real gimmick here. Like, we've got the monsters. They're all given their time to shine, and they're all really fun to hunt, and that's great. I love it. It's more simplistic. There's no massive RNG thing driving the end game. I mean, we do have the charms and the talismans, but with the way that they've balanced the armor, with the exception, I think, of the bow with the headpiece that you need to have to unlock the charge level, um, you pretty much can make anything you want, as long as you put in the time to craft the decorations. So I thought that was a really smart choice. So, and what would you say if I said there is one thing that I kind of consider like end game content? At least it's just one mechanic which gets a lot more depth with update 3.0, which is the Rampage weapons. Rampage 6, I think, puts more weapons for the Rampage weapons. They're more viable than they've ever been, and I think they've added some new skills, like for gun lance and stuff, where you can make it a normal 5 gun lance. You can make it a wide 5. Like, they've added enough things, I think, in this update to make Rampage kind of its own endgame if you enjoy that. You can craft your own weapon like Safajiva. You can tailor it.
Yeah.
It gives you reason to do rampages. It gives you reasons to hunt the apex monsters. It gives you reasons to make decorations. It's pretty fun, and I really enjoy it.
I still have some strong feelings when it comes to gun lances, that I don't necessarily think that the Rampage weapon is entirely a positive thing. And it's the same problem that I had with the Safijiva weapons. And people always call me crazy when I talk about this, but I don't like when a weapon shows up that makes 80% of the weapon tree useless. And that's what the Rampage does in 3.0. Like, basically, once you get to this point where you can just have those Rampage weapons with those skills, like the Rathalos gun lance, useless. Mizutsune's gun lance, useless. Tobikadachi's gun lance, useless. Like, you can just toss all those into the trash, like from a standpoint of like optimizing, and it's like there's optimizing and optimizing. I don't always go super far into like, oh no, it has to be the absolute 1%, but it's like something as simple as one shelling level is a massive difference. It is huge.
Yes, I was gonna say this. I was gonna say this is more of a design flaw of the weapon of gun lance and how they do the shelling than it is a design problem with the Rampage weapons, because we don't see this with like insect glaive or the other weapons. Like, every other weapon is still like, everything's really viable. I think the problem is that whole design choice they did with tying the fixed damage with shelling was, they got to come up with a better solution. It just results in this kind of stuff.
It's like they either come up with a better solution or just make sure that by the time you get to the ending of the tree, 90% of the gun lances have maximum shelling. Or give the gun lances that don't have maximum shelling something else that sets them apart. Because when you look, for instance, at the Chameleos gun lance, I damn near cried. Like, what are you doing? Like, sure, it has a lot of raw, but no raw it would need to have 200% more raw to make up for the fact that it's got shelling level 3. Like, what do you mean? And then people are like, it can be a slap lance. And I'm like, the Tigrex is a better slap lance than that. It's like, whatever.
Yeah. The insect glaive actually is on the cusp of making the same mistake, because they added in a new element to try to differentiate them with the kinsect levels. And like, certain glaives have a certain kinsect level. Luckily, it's not that big of a deal compared to gun lance, because it just affects like some of the speed and the power, and it's not as integral. So I think it's okay, but it's border. I don't like that direction, and I hope that they don't go down that road too far, because if we get to a point where the bugs are just too slow, then people are just going to go with the the higher kinsect levels, But we'll see, but
Yeah.
it makes me a little concerned just because we see that with the Gunlands. But I love the Rampage weapons. I in prep for this one because I've always been a fan of them. I think I have made 20 or 22 Rampage 5 weapons. Can you imagine how much Zenny that costed? I
Jesus
spent millions
Christ.
and millions of Zenny. So I have at least one final Rampage, like waiting for the 6 update. I had like one of every weapon. I have like 4 bows, 5 dual blades, 2 or 3 insect glaives, I think 2 switch axes. Like I was ready. So when I saw Rampage 6, I was like opening Christmas presents. I was like, what do we got this time? you know? And they delivered. They're really fun, but I think I don't know, I'm not a Gunlance main, even though I'm playing it quite a bit recently. I really love it. But the
See,
balance feels
guys,
good.
we got him.
Gunlance is really fun in this game. I really enjoy it. And it's funny. Eunice told me she's like, you've gotten really good at this weapon. She told me the other day because I've been using it sometimes when I hunt with her, and she's like, I think you've caught on. She's like, things are going really good. You seem like you've got it down. I was like, yeah, it's really fun. I enjoy it more than Lance, and it says something about Lance, but it says a lot more about Gunlance. There's so many different ways to play the weapon that I like. So I'm with you. You got me.
That's usually
Gunlance is awesome.
That's usually it's usually the thing that I tell people because like there's a lot of Gunlancers out there that are a little bit frustrated with this update, and I've seen a lot of people just go down the road of like, why does Capcom hate Gunlance? And I was like, I wouldn't go that far considering that Gunlance is by far the most fun weapon to play. It's just the worst weapon in terms of damage, but it's the most fun one to play. So I wouldn't say they hate it. I would say that there's some balancing problems there.
I think the weapon's probably with the biggest balancing problem, maybe, if you want to talk about just fun. When we say damage, we're talking about like time attack, speed run. We're not talking about casual play.
Yeah, time attack.
I know charge blade is one that comes up a lot. I see in topics of a weapon that just seems to have dropped on the charts, but I still see crazy speed runs with it. I think, yeah, it doesn't really matter, at least to me. If it matters to you, then I'm sorry, but hopefully Capcom could patch that up and do it better. I'm guessing they'll do an ultimate expansion to this game. They better, otherwise I'm gonna go get a train ride to Osaka and.
That's something that I wanted to talk about, which is I'm not sure if you noticed, but in the presentation that they did before they released the update, Ryozu was wearing a T-shirt, a big old U right down the T-shirt, a big old U. It's like that's all it was, which is a T-shirt with a giant U. Now I'm not saying I'm not saying that means there's gonna be a Rise Ultimate, but there's probably gonna be a Rise Ultimate, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, Monster Hunter 6 is not gonna be made overnight. That's gonna be the bar there is set been very high. So that's another thing I wanted to get your. I know we probably share the same thoughts on this one, but there's always some bickering, like, is this just a main game? Is this a spin-off? And all that stuff. It's like, there is something to be said about numbered titles, as we call it here in Japan, which is like the new generational opening, which is like 4th gen, 5th gen. Mm-hmm. This is a 5th gen game. This is, for all intents purposes, Monster Hunter 5 was Monster Hunter World and 5 Ultimate was Iceborne, and Monster Hunter Portable 5th is Rise. Like, I think the budget, the scope, all of that is much bigger for the first numbered titles. I think that's a fair thing to say, even though I think the budget was pretty high for this one because what they did is amazing. So I don't expect, I never expected Rise to, what's the right way to put this? I wouldn't put it next to World and Iceborne and be like, they're going to put in the same amount of everything. even though I think they will in the end, actually, which is surprising. Um, but it's just not. It's a little bit more of a comfy release than it is a major big fanfare. So I think Monster Hunter 6 or whatever it'll be called is going to take quite some time. So I actually feel really good that we're going to get an Ultimate Edition of this, where Monster Hunter Portable Third, which never went to the West, didn't get a Ultimate release. And that's because Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate was right on top of it. And that was unintended. I don't know if you saw my video about the history of Capcom games, but they actually were making a port of Tri for the 3DS. And it was even called like 3D World or something stupid. It was just a port. But then the team, like always, got over ambitious, and they ended up... It was something really bad. I put it in the video. There's like a really weird name. Apparently, they had a final logo for it and everything. And then half a year out, they realized that their game designers and their programmers made so much new content that it wasn't even the same game anymore. So they said, "Oh, let's make this a G release, an ultimate release," and that's what they did. And so in the final end of the last half year, they wrapped it up as a full expansion and released it. And so Monster Hunter Portable Third was kind of like, I can't make an Ultimate Edition if you guys are already jumping onto the expansion of the first third generation game. Come on. So, but they're the ones that set the ground. The Portable team was the one who brought back the weapons they cut. They added in some new mechanics, and 3G took all that and said, okay, yeah, we'll do that too. So we have the Portable game to thank for that. So all I'm saying in a long-winded way is, I would bet my money we're getting an Ultimate release. I think we're in good hands.
Yep. Yep. And that I think
can't wait
is going.
For it.
I hope that they really go balls to the walls with it, like they went with GU, and just bring redonkulous amounts of content. Just like, here's friggin' thousands of quests, and here's all of these apexes now with their own armor sets and weapons and whatnot.
Oh yeah.
And boom, there you go. Here's all of these crazy things. Complete insanity. Go have fun.
I actually think that's kind of an okay expectation to have. I think it's, for Ultimate releases, it's okay to go in with high expectations. When it comes to content and volume, they're pretty crazy with those releases, as you saw with Iceborne and 4 Ultimate and Double Cross. Generations Ultimate.
Yep.
So you know what? Another thing I'm really happy they didn't do this time was adding in any type of augment system. It's fun. Like, it gives you a reason to fight the final battles of the game, but it always ends up breaking the balance. Like, you have the healing augment, which just completely is broken. It's in the game like Monster Hunter. I think it's a good thing that it's gone.
Yeah. When you see like the builds that everybody was doing, myself included, like every single build was like health regen on your weapon, always. Like, unless you were like a speedrunner going for some really tight times, and then you might get, attack up or something like that, and you couldn't fit in health regen. Otherwise, it was just like always health regen. So yeah, that
and then like
skill
adding
was
in
overpowered.
attack, defense, or affinity or whatever, like not only was the healing overpowered, but just the idea of the augment system, I think it's like multiplication. It's just going to enhance the gap between weapons, right? Weapons that were great because of their affinity are going to be even greater. Weapons that were bad with attack are not going to be any different because everyone's jumping at the same intervals, forward. It just exasperates, I think is the right word, maybe, the difference between weapons and the gap. So I'm pretty happy to see that gone.
And I think that it took away from experimentation as well, because you'd be like, okay, here's my main weapon. Let me upgrade the crap out of my main weapon. And then you go to a side weapon, you're just like, oh my God, I have to like go farm,
I don't want to do all that again.
Guiding lands and go farm this other thing over there and go farm that other thing. And it's like, there's a difference between things that you want to grind and things that you want to hunt and things that you have to hunt. And I feel like Rise has more things that you want to hunt and less things that you have to hunt. And I actually think that's a good thing, because I end up hunting more things for fun than necessarily because, oh no, I got to go kill Zinogre in the Guiding Lands because he has the electroshocker, which is the material that I'm going to need for the health regen on my tier 11 weapon or whatever it was. And I do remember that those goddamn Zinogre shockers. I always needed more. Always. I was like, okay, tempered Zinogre guiding lands. Let's go. Every single time I'd be going after that guy. Jesus Christ.
So yeah, I'm happy. Like if that's what people call lack of an end game, I actually I'm it's back to a little bit more simplistic roots. Like there's several monsters I know I'm gonna hunt like 100 times, and with every weapon because I love them. Like the new Valstrax. Oh my god, we're gonna have to take a whole section for that one. Oh. But it's like I'm going to hunt that thing. I'm going to hunt that thing probably 300 times by I'm done with this game. I love that monster so much. It's just I don't need a reason to hunt it. It is amazing. So that's I think we're pretty much on the same page on this one. I think when it comes to, I think you were expecting more from 3.0. I was just already in bliss beforehand. But I think we both agree and feel pretty good personally that, you know, the way the end game, or you want to call it, is set up is fine and fun. I don't think there's like one monster because I don't enjoy hunting. I really like all the new monsters. They're really great. Even
I've actually came around on. Why
he's
gotta
always
be
fun.
like
It's Tetranodon.
Yeah. No, but it's like I was going to say.
What they introduced him early in the game, so you would expect him not to be fun, but he is super fun.
I've actually even came around on Almudron because there was this one time.
Oh!
There was this one time I needed to get a bunch of golden orbs, and I was very, very, very unlucky. And I ended up hunting a whole bunch of them, and to the point where I could just like extremely comfortably even just chop his tail with a gun lance, which is not particularly easy. So I'd just be like hunting, chopping tail with gun lance, capturing. At some point, I even made like a special set with Capture Pro to get additional chances of getting the orb. And I just had all of these things going. And so I was even taking less optimal sets in the hunt against Almudron because I actually got pretty good at hunting it. And I don't have that many problems with it anymore.
Hey, you said you got good. I didn't say it. You said it.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
You said it. You said I got good. The monster was never the problem. It was always your ability.
It was my fault the whole time.
The inner reflection, the full circle here. The redemption story is amazing.
Oh my god, this is insane.
I want to make a quick, completely random note here.
Yes,
but we are talking over each other quite a bit. Hopefully, that's something that doesn't continue. The problem is, and I'm going to blame Apple for this one. Okay, flat out.
I agree.
Because there was an update with Mac OS, and I think it screwed something up because our video is becoming desynced all the time during this call.
Yep.
So we look at each other, and because he could see me and I could see him, I know when he's done talking because it's in sync with his audio. He can't tell, so we're constantly talking because it's desyncing. So we'll try to reset my camera every so often if it gets desynced. Yeah. But I want to apologize. We're not being rude to each other. It's just. And it's worse this time because of, damn you, Apple! Don't do updates that break stuff. Come on.
Yeah, to give you guys an idea, for the past like 30 minutes of conversation or so, I've had like at least 5 seconds of delay from Gaijin's video. Which is, at some point, I was like, I'm not even going to look at the video anymore. I'm just going to try to guide by ear. It's this is how it goes in our podcast, guys. We're extremely professional, just in case you guys didn't know. Okay.
Yes. I know you like laggy, so we got some laggy in here now.
Oh my god.
That was a bad one.
That was not a good one.
That was like Ace Hunter level.
The Legiacris. Remember, I have to constantly remember myself because I used to call him Ladgy all the time, and then Super Rad said he wouldn't be friends with people that call him Ladgy, so now I have to call him Legiacris every single time. Otherwise, there's gonna be problems.
Oh my gosh!
Oh, it's hilarious.
So there's so much about Update 3.0. Where do you want to take us?
So we talked already about the final boss quest, our feelings on it. We were gonna start talking, I guess, about Valstrax. And good God, I'm happy for the return of Jet Boy. That was so good because Valstrax is one of those monsters that whenever you have someone that, you know, started with Monster Hunter World, that's one of the monsters that you want to tell your friends about, right? You're like, oh man, you should see this monster we have in Generations Ultimate. Like he's like a jet plane, like super fast, runs around, goes to the friggin' skies and then dives on down, and it's complete insanity, dude. It's so much fun. And I remember distinctly telling this to a friend of mine that got started with Rise. So at the start of Rise, I was telling him about some of the monsters from the other games, and I was like, oh dude, there's this monster Valstrax, so cool. He just like flies around like a jet plane, super fast and whatnot. And the first time my friend fought Valstrax, he carded, I think he actually triple carded. I don't actually remember, because, you know, my memory is completely dead in the middle of like sleep deprivation. But he either carded twice or he carded 3 times. But by the time we were done with the quest, he was like, I love this monster.
It's so funny you say that, because when we faced it, there's enough that's different that makes it feel like a really new variant, like a deviant almost.
Yeah.
But there's enough there that for us who played against it, we can utilize some of that pre-knowledge. Yuna didn't have that, so she carded, I want to say we failed the quest 3 times, and I think all 9 cards, or maybe 8 of them, were her. And then I'm like, oh god, I hope she doesn't hate this monster.
Wait. Are you blaming the failure of the quest on your daughter?
No.
It certainly sounds like that.
It's a new mod. I was the same way when I first fought Valstrax in Ultimate, so in fact, I think I died more. She got used to this faster than I did. I'll put it that way.
Okay.
When I first originally faced, as I had a really hard time getting used to Valstrax in Ultimate of double. I keep calling it double cross because that's the Japanese
Just
name.
call it double cross. Everybody knows. It's fine.
Okay, so like it took me probably, I would say, 20 hunts in order to get that thing down to an okay level. So after 3, she's pretty good at it now. But I was like, oh god, she's gonna hate the monster because she there's certain monsters that just wreck her, and she doesn't like the ones that charge at you. She's like, I love this monster.
Yeah.
And she's like, I can't wait until I get better at this hunt. And then she is getting better at it, much better. It's so cool.
It's so brutally satisfying. And this morning, we actually found something new about Valstrax, and I was so happy because, like, traditionally, whenever I go into a quest and Valstrax is in that quest, obviously we go after Valstrax because he's the more, like, you know, he's the more dangerous
Riskier
target.
Hunt. Yeah.
So it's like you want to get rid of him first, and then you go and hunt whatever the other monster happens to be. So we're doing one of the new quests, and Yuna said, let's go kill Raknikadaki first, right? So we go to attack Raknikadaki, and then suddenly we see the prompt on the side, Valstrax.
Ambush.
And we're just like, what?
Like, what?
Valstrax dives in out of nowhere. Boom.
I don't know if you saw if you rewatched the clip, the Valstrax icon on the map goes and starts swirling around the map. You could see they actually animate the little icon on the bottom left. It's amazing.
Oh, I didn't
notice
you can see
that. How he is moving so fast. Yeah, you should see. It's amazing. And then he's just like, oh shit, and boom. It was the coolest thing. We're not talking about like that wasn't like an invader, like he wasn't part of the area. He just showed up. Like he was there, but he literally came from a completely different area. And I don't know if it was accidental, but he hit us and the monster. He went right on target. It was amazing. And then someone pointed out on Twitter, they're like, huge big attack that carts hunters does like 50 damage to Raknikadaki. I think the smaller insect took 250 and it only took like 50 damage. It's like, I think, or maybe it was 300, but even 300 only, come on. Like Raknikadaki has no weak spoets, you know. Even
so wait a minute, you already posted that on Twitter, that clip from earlier this morning. Oh my god, I got to retweet that. I haven't seen it yet. Oh man!
Oh, and I even posted the clip of your cat casually walking up and just bomb killing Magnamalo.
Yeah, that's just things that might, you know how people are concerned.
Casually delivering death.
the question that I always hear when people are talking about Palico is like, which one is the best Palico? And I'm just like, Bombardier Palico go brrr. Bombardier Palico.
However, I gotta say, Yuna's fight Palico was really pulling some weight yesterday or your morning. It was doing some good stuff. So I'm looking at the buffs that the fighter Palicos can give, and I'm going, okay, I think I need to start putting in some more fight types.
Oh yeah, I just straight up put in a fighter Palico for myself earlier today because of the fact that now we're fighting so many Elder Dragons and Apex monsters, and traps are no longer as effective. And I'm just like, well, might as well go ahead and get myself a different Palico, and most definitely the fighter is going to be
you got to have that Toy Story meme with them throwing the assist Palico saying, I don't want to play with you anymore, and just put at the top like, Apex monsters arrive.
Yeah, you're no longer I don't want to play with you anymore. Now we're gonna be friends with a fighter Palico. But it's not just that. Yeah. I also one of the problems with most of my Gunland sets is that I always have 0 affinity. And I'm just like, if I could just have a little bit of just a tiny nudge, there's always that chance. And with the fighter Palico, you got 30% chance. And I'm just like, this is good. I'll take this. This is fun. But yeah, that's Valstrax. Actually, Crimson Glow Valstrax. Which what's the name in Japanese? Does it make sense?
Yeah, and the deviant, it's a mouthful. I don't even know it offhand. It's a long name.
Really?
Deviant names are always these special variants always have very long and interesting names. Like, for example, I remember, like, what was it? Ruiner Nergigante was like Monogotoku Mono Hakkai Suru Nergigante. It was like really long.
Jesus Christ!
It was like the Nergigante that annihilates anything and everything is its title. It's a really cool one.
Oh, dude, you got to look up the Valstrax one, because I'm curious, because I don't know, there's something about, okay, Crimson Glow is cool because it perfectly describes like what the special thing is about him, is that he's got that crimson glow. But at the same time, I find that the words Crimson Glow are not that interesting. Like, look, I did a poll on YouTube, and I was like, what was the most interesting thing in Update 3.0? And then the 3 options were Crimson, Glow, and Valstrax. Because that's obviously the most interesting thing in 3.0. And everybody just picked Valstrax. I think a couple of people picked like Crimson and Glow, but most people just picked Valstrax. See? So Valstrax, yes. Crimson Glow, not as impactful, I feel like. You're looking it up right now on the website? Yeah, we're doing it live. We're doing it live. We're gonna see what it's like in Japanese and see what the meaning is behind it.
Oh, it pops up in the dictionary in old one. Oh, okay.
Oh, so you're actually opening up a dictionary to figure this out? This is insane.
Yeah, it's a pretty crazy. What I love is, like, even when they had like Bloodbath Diablos, everyone was saying, "How do I read that?" Like, no one had any idea how to read the kanji they used. They used some really bizarre, like, cool names for some of these monsters. So I think someone is putting his Kushiki Kakuyo no Barufaruku. Kushiki Kakuyo Barufaruku. So Kushiki Kakuyo. So Kushiki would mean like strange or bizarre, eerie. You know, and then the Kakuyo would be something that illuminates and glows. So
bizarre.
It also has it, but it also uses the character for red inside that. So it's kind of like a red glow, like a crimson glow. So it's basically the same name, I think, but it's just it sounds.
I like the eerie part of it because it plays into the Oni nature of a lot of the monsters in Rise. So that is
it's like it is unnatural almost. It's got this vibe. So, but God, that's such a fun hunt, and that thing he hits, man.
Oh
like
yeah.
I was gonna say, like, if you're good at the game and you're still using your Hunter S Greaves and your Puke arms on your awesome sets or whatever, like, if he hits you, you are probably going down. Like, at this point, if only for those, like, there's certain weapons I'm not that good with. Like, I'm proficient, but I'm not a pro or anything. So, like, I can no longer go into a hunt like that with a set with 390 defense. I need more. So it's like, do I trade? I could have attack 7 or I could have attack 4 and some actual defense. So now I'm rethinking all my old sets, and I'm going to start updating them so that they have more defense, because man, he's a good challenge.
No, the rule is you just don't get hit. Just don't get hit.
Yeah, exactly. What's he weak to? Damage. How do you beat him? Don't get hit.
Yeah, exactly. No, but he's a ton of fun. I like particularly like his new laser move, because that laser is just so friggin'
oh, you're talking about the Ishvaldo move?
Yes.
Did you notice that?
Yeah, it looks a lot like it, yeah.
Yeah, so he takes his wings and he's like and the thing with that is, like, usually with a lot of these attacks, the dust particles are not part of the hit zone. So normally you could like stand like right on the side and graze it a little bit. Not with this one. Like you cannot get close to that laser. It'll hit you.
And this one also hits multiple times, because I was at one point I was feeling like a hero, and I'm like, this is it. You could even hear the music in the background, like, you know, when you're doing something really epic, like dun 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 dun, dun, dun. And I was like, I think I was even, I don't know if I was in my stream. I think I was in my stream. And I was just going, I was like, guard edge, doing the gun lance parry right in there. It was like, bam, perfect parry. I was like, gotcha. And then just like, he places the laser down, and then laser comes back up, and I'm like, oh no, I've done a terrible mistake. It's like a blast. But it was so good.
I also love the move where he does like a hovering in the air with all of his little jetpacks. It's like 6 rays like coming out, and it's so menacing because the height in which he stands up, it's like, I'm about to smack your ass, and you're like, no, what is he gonna do? And it's so great because it's close distance. It's almost like his long distance move, but it's right in your face, and you're like, okay, when is he coming? I don't know. Like, I can't wait to see speedrunners, and they'll have it down, and they'll do like perfect guards and everything, but like. Yeah, usually I just run. I'm just like, oh shit, here he comes. But that fight did not disappoint at all. That is easily one of the best variant species I've fought in a long time. That was, as he was the only main monster from Generations Ultimate that did not have a deviant. Think about that. Like we had Massacre Diablos, or Bloodbath. Sorry, the Japanese name is Massacre. It's a little graphic. Bloodbath Diablos was a deviant. All the other Fated 4 got deviants. Valstrax didn't. So I'm really happy to see them not only bring him, but bring a variant of him that looks freaking amazing.
Yep.
Oh, and can we talk about that armor? Oh my god.
That armor is actually very interesting. I haven't really made a set around it yet, but that armor is extremely interesting in terms of stats, but also in terms of look. The first thing I did was craft the layered version of that armor, particularly because for the males it has like a spike in the front, just like it did back in GU. The front has that spike, and I'm just like, this is perfect for blast dashing, because I blast dash and then there's a spike in my chest. It deals more damage with the blast dash, guys. That's how it works.
Oh, and it illuminates, and you get. I changed the colors on it so it looks like Latrion. It's like white and purple glowing. It looks so cool. Yeah.
My friend
they
basically
changed its skill though.
Go ahead.
Sorry. No, I was gonna say they changed. No, actually, you go first.
My friend, he illuminated the colors green, and then he put Narwa's head on his head, and he looks like Ganondorf.
Oh, good God. I was gonna say they actually tweaked its unique skill, because it had that unique skill back in Generations Ultimate, whereas when you're down by, I think back then it was 2/3 of your health. So once you got down by 2/3 of your health, your elemental resistance would go straight up to like 50 each. So like you're not taking elemental damage like pretty much at all. Well, you're taking like half off, but. And then I think it buffed your attack. So this time it's actually even better, because the level 5 of that has it where you only need to be at 80% or lower health to get it to trigger, which is really good. Because I noticed something when I was using the armor set last night after we hunted. Me and Yuna were doing some more, because I'm trying to get its orb, because I really, 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 really want to make a weapon. I got one only. I was like, I'll use it to make the armor first because I can use that with other weapons. So I made the armor, discovered that it upgrades up to 100 defense per part. It's ridiculous, the defense on that thing. It's the highest in the game.
100 defense per
100.
Oh, when you upgrade his armor entirely.
Yeah, it's redonkulous. Like I think I have like 560 defense or something on my set.
I've actually been having some problems with his armor, to be honest, because of that dragon heart skill that he's got.
No. So the thing I noticed, which is awesome, is because of the way they're doing potions, you can evade cancel as you're healing. So I could just drink a potion and then I can evade to cancel the rest of the heal so that I can keep myself under 80. It's amazing.
That's not the problem that I'm having. The problem that I was having is that I've been using his gloves because they come with 2 weakness exploit in the tier 2 slot, which is really, really good.
Yeah.
So I've started implementing those in my sets, but I'm putting those in sets that have like status
element,
and it's like, oh no, I'm below 50%. Now I got Dragon Blight. Crap, this sucks. So I don't think I'm going to be using his set pieces unless I'm actually using this stuff because it can screw you over. Like I was trying to do a Rampage and get status ailments. And then suddenly I'm like, what's going on? My status is just, I'm below 50. God damn it.
I'm Dragon Blighted.
Yeah.
But man, when you use this stuff and you start stacking it, like the level 5, it's like, what is it? Like when you're under 80%, you get 10% attack boost, which is crazy.
Yep.
Then if you max out resentment or fear or whatever it's called, so that when you get hit with red, like you get hit by the monster, you are encouraged to get right back in there and hit him right back.
Yep.
Because when you have red on your bar, you get plus 25 attack with level 5. And then on top of that, you've got Resuscitate, which gives you, when you have Dragon Blade, gives you 20 more attack.
20 more, yeah.
Add that up. 10%, 25, 20. It's like, I think I was looking at my Insect Glaive and I had like 340 attack or something crazy. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, this
is too good.
It's pretty friggin' sick, the stacking that you can do with that set. And yeah, there's some really fun stuff to be had there, which is why I want to experiment with that set some more. It's just...
But that's funny though. Like the gloves are awesome. They give you a weakness exploit too with a level 2 slot. But I didn't realize. Yeah, it also gives you Dragon Blade if you're under 50% health. hey, but you do get good plus 30 to all your elemental defenses.
I don't know how much it is on the first level. It's probably not enough to be relevant, so I don't think it's worth it.
If you're using a raw weapon, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, if you're using a raw weapon, it's no biggie. But if you're using something else, yeah, you can get into problems. Particularly if you're trying to get status ailment procs. Yep, there's going to be some issues there.
Did you see his elemental weakness chart? It's actually really interesting.
I mean, I think it's the same. Like, it's the same thing as you. He's weak to everything except dragon.
Yeah, everything is like super weak, and then dragon 0. Nope.
Yep. It's just like you can hit him with whatever element you want, so long as it's not dragon, and it supposedly hurts. But then again, elemental damage is that thing that is always disappointing. Like unless you're playing dual blades, and maybe like I don't know, Insect Glaive, maybe in some. No, actually, I think Insect Glaive is also raw. I don't know. I feel like most weapons is just raw, and it's. I really wish they would just improve elemental hit zones or do something. Like we have critical element in the game, and that's completely useless. Like I think like 1 point of attack is better than like 3 points of critical element, which is ridiculous. Like, what are you doing?
Okay, so I looked it up. So level 1 is when you're below 50% health, you get Dragon Blight, and all your elemental resistances become plus 30. Well, not plus 30, they become 30, flat 30.
Also, it doesn't add resistances; it just changes them to 30.
Yeah.
Okay.
You could have like minus 50 to begin with. It doesn't matter. It'll be 30 positive. It's a flat out change. Then level 2 is under 50% health. It becomes plus 50. It becomes 50 for all your elemental defenses. And then we start getting interesting. Is like it's under 70% health for level 3, and then when you bob it up to 4 and 5, that's when it gets good. It's like under 70, you get plus 5% attack on top of it, and then at the last level, it's under 80% or less health. You get 50 and you get 10% attack boost. It's pretty sweet. I like it a lot.
I like that combo. That is a combo that they've done specifically for Rise. I feel like the Resuscitate combo with Bubbly Dance and Hellfire and
Mm.
Dragon Blight. There's all these things that proc it and all these combinations that you can do. I was that's one of the builds that I was experimenting with this morning. I was like, I'm gonna get Magna Malo's weapon and do the friggin' Resuscitate thing and whatnot, and then I realized, oh no, my health goes below. Now I got Dragon Blight. Now I don't have Blast. This sucks.
But man, I just, the monster is just so good. It's just like I'm gonna easily get like 100 hours. Well, maybe that's an oversight. Maybe 50 at least. I'm gonna get like, well, actually no, I'll probably get 100. I'm gonna get like a lot of gameplay just from that one monster.
Yeah, just from
Like
Valstrax.
crafting and stuff, the armor, and just playing it for fun because he's such a fun hunt.
I've already crafted his sword and shield, and I've crafted his full set. I just got to start experimenting
Oh,
with it. I'm gonna do some kind of like crazy sword and shield build because his weapons also come with like some special soul thing that whenever you get Dragon Blight,
yeah, that's
you
what I
get
want.
like 20% more dragon or whatever it is. It's something like that.
Yeah, so you don't lose your dragon element.
Yeah.
You get a huge buff to it or something. I'm like, I really want to try that out.
Yeah, that's got to be completely insane. I can't wait to get my hands on that as well and just start figuring out how it works. Again, it's probably just going to be disappointment because of how elemental damage works, but I still want to try it out. But I still think it's
You know
going
what's
to be best
interesting
for
though?
duels. Duels is going to be beast with
Oh
that.
yeah. Well, it's also interesting is that the Valstrax soul, I don't think needs even if you're just going up against a monster that causes dragon
Yeah,
blight, you can just be unga bunga. It doesn't matter if you're using his weapon with that soul because it's like, yeah, go ahead, dragon blight me, I get stronger. It's
yeah.
like hit me.
Pretty much. You don't need to use a set. It just synergizes really well with that stuff. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
I love it. Apex Zinogre.
Not
That
Zinogre
was
not Zinogre. Zinogre has to be the last one because they also
okay, okay.
added Diablos and Rathalos outside of Rampage.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. This is gonna be an interesting topic. You go. Where do you want to start?
So we got these apexes outside of Rampage. You will need to encounter Zinogre in his Rampage before you can do Zinogre outside of Rampage. But Diablos and
Yeah,
Rathalos, if you've done those two in Rampage, then they should
in
be
Rampage. Yeah,
available. I don't know what exactly is the hunter rank requirements because I'm already above 200. So yeah, at this point I can't
I
really
don't know.
tell. But
Yeah, Valstrax. Oh, just a note for you guys. I did read that Valstrax was the urgent for him is HR 100.
yep, I've heard the same
I was
thing.
not aware of that. So
Uh,
just do some rampages. You'll be 100 in no time.
Yeah, just do even multiplayer rampages. Like you should be getting there pretty fast. I mean, I know that's what Kurupeku did to like level up their level super fast.
Oh yeah,
So
it's do some Diablos rampages. You will gain hunter rank so fast. Oh my god.
but yeah, so I personally started with Apex Diablos, and what I have to say, especially as someone who farmed Bloodbath Diablos in GU to the point where I crafted his entire set and the weapon, Apex Diablos is he's a little bit of weak sauce there, man. He's kind of weak, kind of weak, like real weak. Like I don't know if they took away his juice or something. I don't know what they did to him, but he is weak. Feels bad. Like here's the thing. You guys need to understand something. In order to fight Diablos in Monster Hunter World, I made a lance set because Diablos was that annoying
Oh,
to me that I was like, I'm just gonna get a lance, get up in your face, and beat the crap out of you. And this time around, I went up against him. I didn't even have the current set that I'm using, which we'll talk about in
and
a bit.
he's just standing there, and you're like, wait, what?
He's just standing there. I'm like, I only have 3 guard, and it's plenty. And I'm just like wailing on him, no problem whatsoever, blocking everything, no problem, getting no staggers at all. Like there were so many hits that didn't even stagger me. And I was like, dude, I have 3 block, not 5. I have 3. And it's not even staggering me in the slightest. Like, what is going on with this monster? Like, super easy. I would even say he's easier than normal Diablos. Like, normal Diablos feels harder than Apex Diablos to me. So, yeah.
So this is funny because you know Bloodbath Diablos is my all-time
Yep.
favorite monster of all monsters in Monster Hunter.
So we could,
and this is
we could say that you're an expert when it comes to Bloodbath Diablos.
I would say that,
Yeah.
Like I'll gloat a little bit. Yes, I love that monster, and I've hunted it a lot. So this was interesting because we went in there, and it was hard to convince Yuna to do the quest because she hates Diablos. She just does not like monsters that charge at you aggressively because she doesn't like being interrupted when she's trying to get her, true charge slash or her spirit combo. She just don't like it, I love the monsters. Any monster that charges at me, I do counters and guards. It's fantastic. So we're polar opposites in that regard. So I was like, oh great, she's not gonna want to do this quest. I was like, but we gotta do it. So I was like, can we? So we just started taking turns. That was like my psychological play. I'm like, let's do turns. You choose what you want to do, and I choose what I want to do. And then when it became my turn, I'm like, I didn't say anything. I just went boom, and I posted it. And she looked at me like, already you want to drag me into this? I'm like, uh-huh. And I was giddy like a child. I was literally like jiggling in my seat. Can't wait to fight this monster out of a rampage, right?
Yeah.
We get to it, and it reminds me of how they neutered Elatrion in Iceborne when you have the baby Elatrion before Fatalis.
Yeah. That's
And you're like, what did they do to you, boy? it's like they cut something off. Because in Rampage he's really aggressive and he's fast and he's really big and he hits you really hard because it's a rampage. And here it was like, well, it's like they looked at Generations Ultimate and he was designed to be like a master rank monster, right? G rank monster. And it's like they looked at that and said, how do we do a version that's like high rank, like a weaker version of that? So there's a lot of homage. There's some moves that are kind of similar, but they're all baby versions.
Yeah.
So like even like my favorite where he comes up and he blows up, he only does it a few times and the radius is so small. It's like, I know they're setting it up so when they release the Ultimate Edition, it'll be like full on bloodbath and it'll be crazy. But I think they went way too far with toning it down because I'm like, I was happy that they kept the phases. So like he does have 3 phases of getting angry, and in the final phase is much more fun than the other ones. But yeah, he was easy, and the thing is Yuna really enjoyed the hunt. she's like, this is so much more fun and so much easier than the regular Diablos.
Yep.
I love it.
Yep.
But you know what? I'm looking. It's so weird. I think I'm jaded. I think I'm too biased because I love the monster so much that I'm not going to complain so much about how I laugh about it and say, yeah, he's a little too weak.
Yeah.
But he is fun.
Yeah.
And I just find it kind of cute, and it's kind of funny, and it's going to give me a really good excuse to hunt against it with weapons that I've never really used a lot against it.
Yeah.
Like hell, I think I could take it down with heavy bowgun even.
Yeah,
I don't need mobility.
Reminds me of Braveheart when the king is talking to his son, like, who am I to send to represent me to the enemy? Not my son. At the mere sight of him, they'll be tempted to conquer the whole kingdom. It's like,
yep.
This is you. You're like, well, he's so weak, I might as well use any weapon I want. I mean, come on, make it a little bit more challenging. It's like you're poking it with a stick and going like, do something.
It was funny. So now what I'm hoping they do is now we'll get to that later, but now that they've set the stage for harder versions of the monsters, like there's an arena we can have them. I'm hoping that they release a super Apex Diablos, like one that is just as big and as fast as the one in Rampage, but outside of it, that's what I really want.
Yeah.
So I would say I'm not disappointed in the hunt. I would say I wish it was a lot stronger. I'm just happy it's in the game because I'm looking forward to the ultimate release, and I'm like, okay, that's going to be really fun. But man, he's comfortably easy, so I think don't be afraid. It's actually maybe it's going to help some people because some people don't enjoy the monster. I love it, but
yeah,
it was pretty funny. I just found it funny. I don't know why. I just could not stop laughing. I'm like,
it's like
what is it? It's a baby.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking about. It's like a little baby rage. Look at him. He's sort of a little temper tantrum.
Look, he's Captain Papa. Look at him. Oh, he does the little move just like he did back there, but the radius is like half of it. It's funny.
The one thing that I really like about him is when he's really, really mad, like his super fast charge that he does. I think that one's really cool because it almost has this cannon-like sound when he takes off. You just like you see the black thing in his mouth. He's like, and it's like super fast. But again, no impact. Like I just put up my shield, plunk. Nothing. It's like, okay.
And the good news is it's not an insta kill either, where Bloodbath was if you did not have earplugs or if you did not get out of the way.
Oh, yeah.
When he yells and he stuns you with his roar, if you're anywhere within like 50 meters, you're dead. Yep. Like if he targets you, you're gone.
the first time I saw that, because a lot of people, they don't have the comparison of Bloodbath Diablos, so they might not have an idea what we're talking about. Like, listen, guys, the first time I fought him, he roared once, and I was like, "Oh, I missed that roar. That's fine." It's like, "No, it's not. You're dead. Like you're literally dead. It's a one shot. There's no escaping that thing. It's just like you're done. If you get hit by that one roar, it's like so. We even would prepare for that one roar like ahead of time. We'd be like, "Is this the one?" Yeah. We'd always like, "Oh, is this the one? Here it comes." Oh, it's funny.
That's where I got really. I had most fun in Ultimate doing the Protect Prowler because it had the perfect guard like the lance, and I could get it down every time. So anytime he roared, I could guard it, and I was like, pshing.
No problem.
Great. Yeah. That or I could. What I would do also when I went online with people is I would bury myself in the ground as a cat because you can't be hit. And just watch everybody run for their lives or die. It was really funny. You get a really good spectator view of it. Like, who's it gonna be? Oh no, he didn't bring earplugs. He's gone.
Oh, it's good.
But stuff. Yeah, so that was. It could have been a lot stronger. But maybe I guess this helps people who need to get his parts, but we're dreading him. You have nothing to worry about, my friends. He is very. He's the training wheel version.
Yeah, pretty much. I would argue that like Arzuros is way tougher than he is because of how much he stuns you. Arzuros like every other slap is a stun, so it's like he's very punishing, whereas Diablos is more tame. I guess next up would be. Go ahead.
If people are, I don't think people are, but if you're having a hard time breaking Diablos' horns for like the majestic horns, like they flipped it. So the normal Diablos, his horns are tough. This Diablos, that's his weak spot. So if you just need to farm for horns for decorations, just do the Apex Diablos. It'll be much faster.
Yeah,
I think.
I was gonna move us on to Apex Rathalos, unless you have anything else to say about your baby boy, your little baby boy throwing temper tantrums.
I know it is. It's a toddler version of my favorite monster, and for that reason, I'll give it a pass. Even though because I know the father will come, but the son is pretty cute, and so yeah, I will give it a thumb and a half up. I won't give it 2 because I wanted it to be the big boy, but you know, it's as someone who adores the monster, I can't not like it.
So next up, definitely Apex Rathalos, and Apex Rathalos to me is the hardest Apex of all. And
oh really? Wow.
Yeah, I have some. I mean, I don't have that many problems with him. The thing is, his moveset when you're fighting in something like a gun lance causes you to have to be too defensive because he's just like throwing fireballs all the friggin' time. And you're just like, more fireballs. Okay, block. And you're just kind of like stuck blocking too much. It's not that he's too hard, but he spams a lot. There's a lot of fireball spam. So
my turn.
That puts me a little bit on the defensive with him, but at the same time, he is a pretty fun hunt. But his ultimate that he does in the Rampage, there's like, again, Omega Neuter, like in the Rampage, that thing will one-shot you. It's like straight up. Outside the Rampage, like, boop, nothing.
Yuna dropped her controller laughing when he did it. She was literally holding her stomach. She was laughing so hard because she's like, "Oh shit!" You know, like here it comes, and he goes, And she was just outside the radius, which is not that big.
Yeah.
And she's like, what the hell was that?
I just block it now with my current set. I just sit like right in the middle of where it's about to blast, and I'm like, look, no problem.
Did they forget like a 0 when they were tuning the damage on that in the radius? Like they could have went way bigger on that one. That it's funny. It's like imagine Teostra has his blow up, but it's like half the radius. It's just a little bulb around him. That's what it feels like. It's like you thought that was gonna hit me, and even if it did, it's like that's it.
Yeah, it's not as powerful as it was in the Rampage. I don't know why, but the rest of the fight can get pretty challenging with the fireball spam and whatnot. You need to have a lot of mobility and hopefully tools to get you in the air or to bring him down. Can you spam flash bombs? Because I haven't been using flash bombs too much in this one because of the fact that they give me the tools to go to the air with the gun lance. So I'm just like, what's the fun in bringing you down with a flash bomb? Bring you down with shells. That's how I bring monsters down. Way more fun. So I've been using them, but is there like diminishing returns to flash bombs? Or?
There is. I don't want to sound like I know for sure because it just came out, but I want to say when I fought it, you can get probably 3 really good flashbangs off on it.
Okay.
And drop it, but afterwards he goes, but he's not completely unfazed by it, but he doesn't. You can't drop him out of the air after a certain number.
Yeah, makes sense because that's kind of like the direction that they went with World, because you'd be fighting something like a Kushala, and be like 12 flash bombs later, Kushala is still falling to the ground. This is like the whole challenge of Kushala is how many flash bombs can I carry to make sure that I can bring you down every single time.
So Rathalos I find interesting because I absolutely disliked. It was like the one hunt I would avoid going on was Dread King Rathalos, the deviant from Generations Ultimate.
You might say
I really disliked it.
You might say
I dreaded
the Dread King. So good. Got him.
Well, you know what I always called him Spam Lord.
Yeah,
because he's called Flame Lord Rathalos in Japanese. So I call him Spam Lord because man, I hated that monster. Like the most annoying monster in, like, I guess people don't like Kezu even though I love it. I hated that monster. So I was like, okay, what are they going to do with this one? And I already got a taste of it in the Rampage and I love it. It's so good. It's really enjoyable for me. Maybe it's because I play weapons that go in air, I like Insect Glaive or counters like the Dual Blades. The more he throws fireballs, it's like, go for it, man. I'm countering right through them. I'm going right at him. But I love the idea of like when he gets upset, I'm like, yes, he's upset because his head becomes so squishy. He takes such delicious damage when he is enraged that he becomes, I actually find him easier when he's enraged. So I think we headlocked him actually. And he just kept falling over like 4 or 5 times in a row. Damn. And then he go out of rage. I'm like, no, don't do that. No, my damage isn't as good. Then he got upset again. And we're like, yes. But it was really enjoyable. I thought it was a very fun hunt.
Yeah, it's still a fun hunt. Like I said, it's just one that I need to work on more because right now he's like the strongest one of the Apexes against my particular matchup.
Interesting.
But I don't have a whole lot more to say about Rathalos. His ultimate just feels incredibly weak when compared to the Rampage version, which is weird. It's
everything else about him is powerful though. Like he has some fire moves that do a lot of damage. It reminds me. Oh my god! I just thought of a really, really rude analogy. He's the charge blade he's the charge blade of the game because a lot of his moves do damage, but when you get to the big ultra, it does crap damage.
Feels bad for charge blade mains. Is that? Oh yeah, but it's like that's because it misses, right? When you get to the ultra, the reason it doesn't deal damage because it misses. It doesn't hit with all the files. That's the problem.
Oh, even when it hits, it's not like it used to be, really.
I haven't played enough of it.
But it doesn't feel like as strong as it should be, and it misses a lot. His move is he's the charge blade of the game, but all his other moves are really great and they do great damage. So
there is that one of his moves that he does that I think is really cool, and he gets me with it a lot of times. It's the one where he like puts his wings up like this, right? and then he
Oh,
does
is that
something.
the Alatreon move?
I don't know what it is, but it's this move that I've never seen in Rathalos. No. That's not it. It's a move that he does where he's in the ground. He puts his wings up like this. He turns his head sideways, a little fireball in his mouth. And then there's just like an AoE impact in front of him immediately afterwards, because it always sends me flying. And I love those moves. The ones that send you really like flying. Whoa. And particularly if you're close to a wall, like your hunter will like smack up against the wall and then fall down.
Ooh, very anime, yeah.
Yeah.
Matrix style.
Those moves I dig. And he gets me with that one a lot, because usually I'll be like in the middle of a combo and he just backs away. And that's the thing that I always say. The move that scares me the most in any monster is when he friggin' backs away. That's the worst you can do. Because like he backs away and I'm like, oh no.
I need to put down these dual blades. I'm so addicted to them, and so I didn't even get to see that move, I think.
Yeah.
Because like I'm always right behind, I'm right under his chin, or I'm right next to his face. I'm never in front. I'm just like zip, 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 and we'll get into the reason why. But I have evade extender 3 on my dual blades, and oh my god,
we're gonna talk about that one. But I guess we'll move on to Zinogre.
Yeah, but that was a fun hunt.
Yeah.
Apex Zinogre.
Hunt, but Zinogre. So this one is interesting because I was live streaming, and a friend of mine that I was streaming with, he actually told me, I want to see you solo Zinogre. He was expecting me to get like completely trounced, and I just beat the crap out of Zinogre, no problem. I was like, this is easy. I don't know what your problem is, because I can block a lot of what he does, which makes it a lot less dangerous. But yeah, Zinogre still, like, if you get distracted for a little bit, it's almost one of those things where if he gets through your defense once, he's going to juggle you until you're dead. Like, that's it. It's like, it's like lightning coming out everywhere and friggin' jumping up and flipping and whatnot. And he's got some really cool delays in his animations where, like, you know, the other one, he just like kind of flips and then drops on you. This one flips, then stays in the air a little bit longer and then drops on you to kind of like throw you off. I think stuff like that is really cool.
Yeah, I like this one. Feels really like the most similar to the Deviant that was in the game. Like I think all the other ones feel like a homage to the Deviants. This feels like a straight up port of the Deviant from Generations Ultimate, the Gold Thunder. It's really similar in a good way. Yeah, Thunderlord, yeah, in a good way. I really like. To me, it was like going to see an old friend. It felt really good to me. There's some new moves and stuff, and it's not identical, but it's close enough that like I was able to warn you about everything. I was like, he does multiple slams on everything. Use Wirefall and to get out. If you get hit, Wirefall and get out, because he's gonna follow it up. And so when she started doing that, it was much easier. It was like, okay, I'll save a wire bug so I can get out and retreat if I need to, because he just does not stop. I loved it. But man, does he have a lot of HP.
Yeah.
He is a tanky little boy in this game. Like all the other Apexes I thought were okay, but he is tanky.
I think he's considered like I think probably in terms of stats, he's going to be the strongest of the Apexes, because unlike Diablos, he actually hits hard. Like when he hits you, you're going to feel it. You're going to want to instantly heal. Like he's not joking around. And he, I think, also has the attacks that deal the most bleeding damage, even through Guard 5. Even through Guard 5, he will bleed a significant amount of damage through. So his stuff is really hitting hard as hell. But you can block a lot of it. So
yeah, I was gonna say the difficulty will be much easier if you're using a weapon that can either guard or counter.
Oh yeah,
maybe not counter is the right word. Like counter evade, like I was using dual blades, so it's just easy as hell. I used to do that with the adept style. It's just like really fun because his moves always come at you, right? So if you start evading at him, he'll never hit you with the follow-up move. Like you're always just smacking him right back. Like you're just like, nope, psh, slap his hand. Like get out of here.
and one of his pounce attacks, the one where he's like pounce with his claw, and then the follow-up. That follow-up is almost like instant transmission levels. It's just like, phew! Like he moves so far ahead that a lot of times I'll see the first one and I'll see him like a considerable distance away, and I'm like, you're still going to hit me with a follow-up. I'm going to dodge forward now. Goodbye, sir. Like I'm not taking that chance.
I'm really looking forward to seeing speedrunners show me how the heck you can heavy bowgun it. Because I can't imagine taking a heavy bowgun to that hunt.
It's got to be challenging as hell, yeah. Because he's got a ton of HP. Not just to mention the amount of HP he has. Might even need like additional ammo, stuff like that. I don't know. I don't know how they're gonna deal with that, but yeah.
I'm sure they will. It'll be fun to watch, but probably spread, I imagine. Because if you know where his attacks are, you could just sidestep them, and they'll probably just spread level 3 his head in. Probably, I'm guessing.
Yeah,
but yeah, he's fun. He's fun though. I like it.
And he has like a high whatchamacallit, a high threshold for breaking parts. Because I noticed when we were hunting him earlier, like I was just like, dude, I've shelled his head so hard this entire fight, and his horns are still intact. That's not normal. Usually I can break stuff fairly easy when I'm playing my support Gunlance build, but you know.
Yeah. And it's weird because like for this one, the tail is horrible damage. Like really, really bad damage. So I would say don't even bother touching the tail. It's that hard. I think the thing is they want him to have a tail. They don't want it to come off because they want to smack you with it, even though he smacks you with his claws. So they're trying to encourage you to hit him in the face because that is the most dangerous place to be. So is in front of his front claws. I think that's funny. But yeah, his stuff don't break very easy.
Yeah. Apex Zinogre is definitely going to be a little bit challenging. It almost feels like Capcom was like, "Oh, you guys were saying the game was easy. Okay, enjoy Zinogre here. He's gonna help you out understand what's going on."
Yeah. Yeah. So I this is more like an endurance test to me, right? Because he has enough HP and he moves fast enough that if you start getting a little bit like lax, he's gonna get you. So
pretty much
test your concentration levels. Yeah, but he's fun. So how, like, if we were going to grade, I don't know how you want to do it, like the F through SS or 1 through 10. Like, let's grade the 3 new Apexes. Like, if you had to give a score, let's say, okay, 1 out of 10, but explain your
10.
Answer. How would you rate Apex Diablos, both in and outside of Rampage?
Inside the Rampage, I think for me it would be the same because I think that he's also extremely easy inside the Rampage personally.
That's true. Yeah, Rampage we should not consider because it's too easy.
Yeah, Rampage is even easier because you have counter, you have cannons, you have so many things to deal with stuff. So,
sure. Okay,
outside the Rampage, I'm thinking about it and it's like. It's either a 5 or a 6. It's somewhere around there. Because what is my main complaint about that monster? It's just the difficulty level. That's the thing. But the difficulty level is important, particularly for a monster like Diablos, which usually I even have problems with my own weapon. So the fact that I was able to just like walk in there and beat the crap out of him knocks him down quite a few pegs. But I'm leaning more towards the 6 because at the end of the day, I think that his moveset is interesting. It just needs more impact. Maybe even just like more stamina damage for people that are blocking. Because the fact that I was able to block everything and not once get threatened. Because like a black Diablos in World, even with guard 5, like she'll break your guard. It doesn't matter. She will find a way to break your guard. And in here with guard 3, the Apex Diablos is struggling to even like dent my stamina. I'm just like, there's something wrong there. So I'll give him a 6. How about you?
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 6.5 with an asterisk saying I still love him.
Okay.
I still love him, and I'll still hunt a lot because it's fun. But it is he is too easy, so I can't honestly give him more than a 7 because I think it's got to be recognized that he should have been harder.
Yeah.
But he's still fun. He's a fun 6.5 to me. Rathalos.
So Rathalos, I think I'm going to go with an 8 because for my matchup, he's the one that challenged me the most. And I value challenge a lot, you know, coming from Dark Souls and stuff like that. Challenge is an important part. And the fact that he is challenging for me is cool. And it's also the fact that I love Rathalos to begin with. I love his design as Apex Rathalos. I think he looks amazing. I love the animation of his screams. I love the slow-mo on his ultimate, even though if outside the Rampage, it's a little bit it's significantly neutered. But I love the fact that it almost goes into slow-mo when it explodes, like I think that's really cool, and I like explosions, so it's no biggie. So yeah, I'm gonna give him an 8 for Apex Rathalos.
Nice. I'm going to give him a 9.
Oh,
Because I think he embodies what the monster was supposed to always be, right?
yeah,
Like he's supposed to be like the flame dragon. He's supposed to breathe a lot of fire and fly in the air and be like that. And they've always, like with Dread King or whatever, like he's just annoying as hell. This felt right. It felt natural. It felt powerful. Really I think that's like this feels like a good concept on him. I liked it. It was a good interpretation. So, and I love the fact that he gets so squishy when he's upset. That's what makes the hunt so fun for me. Is that it really? I mean, the jump is really big. It does so much damage. So it encourages aggressive play. So it kind of feels like a slugfest, and I like that a lot. So I'm gonna give it a 9.
I'm
Apex is
almost
Zinogre.
considering switching mine to a 9 as well. You make a lot of good points. It is really good. Yeah, I think I might give him a 9 as well. I agree.
Nice.
Apex Zinogre. Um, bu- 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 I'm gonna give him a 9 actually, because even though he was easier than Rathalos, he's that monster that like if I get distracted for a split second, like that's it. That's all it takes. A split second, he's like, oh, I found a chink in your armor.
So,
Slap, slap, slap,
so
slap.
how does that work for streaming? Because I can't stream because I can't do two things at once. Can you even look at chat during him, or is that like one where you just can't look at chat?
I mean, most of the last quests, I barely look at chat unless the monster is moving to a different area, because But that's just also age catching up to me. I'm not as nimble as I used to be back in my younger days. So when I'm being challenged in a quest, I can't stare at chat as much as I'd like. But I then like when I'm done with the hunt, I go back and I scroll through chat a little bit to make sure I catch up. But yeah, it's very hard to particularly with Apex and Ogre, it's very hard to look at chat when you're doing that. Kanta can do it though. Kanta not only does it, but he also types because he doesn't even speak. He just like
So I was like, how the heck does a person that's superhuman ability in my opinion? Like that's something like the military would want you for, right? They're like that's insane.
He's actually answered that on that interview that he did with Eric's, I think, which is he knows the monsters to an extent that he knows the animation that the monster is about to do. And so he knows how long that's going to take, and he knows how much of an opening he has. And then he just like puts down his controller, types whatever he wants to type real fast. And it's like, it's insane because like I've rated Kanta, right? While he's streaming, I rate him and he will answer me while in the middle of maintaining like perfect bow shots. And I was like, how are you doing this? What is going on?
I'm like, are you sure this is live? Is this a pre-recording? It's like amazing skills, like absolutely amazing. But
yeah,
I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to give Zinogre a 9 as well. Even though I personally find Rathalos to be a little bit more fun. I think people were looking for the challenge. They wanted the monster to kick them in the ass and put up a long fight. I think it answers that desire pretty well. So I think he's a great version.
Yeah. And there's also the new Tsuchi quest that we didn't talk about that much, which is like dual monster quests that they've added a few of them during 2.0. They've added a couple more in 3.0 where the monsters are spruced up. Those also bring in some additional challenge as well, which is good, which is stuff that we were asking for.
Yeah, I'm curious for the quest rewards. Do you notice a higher rate for rare items with those quests, or is we don't know yet?
If I'm getting everything right from the amount of quests that we did earlier today, I think that the thing that they do is they give you more eggs. Eggs and like the gems for crafting gems, stuff like those, they seem to give you more of that. But I'm not 100% sure because also keep in mind that I'm currently running a set with great luck. Every time I'm hunting, I have great luck. So I tend to get more loot now.
Yeah, because I noticed that a lot of times I'm getting the gems and stuff. It says, like they always tell you, was this because of a skill activated or why did you get this? If you look, like it's labeled on the window. And so if you get extra slots from great luck, it'll say it, great luck.
Oh, okay. I didn't pay
or it says
attention to that.
because you. Yeah, if you go down to break parts, it'll say you broke the head. Like it tells you very specifically what you did to get that. And so you'll have target reward, you'll have quest reward, and then there's a thing called the additional quest rewards. And I have to look into this more, but I don't know if that's a quest setting thing. But that's where I'm seeing most of my orbs come in. If that's the case, then that's great. That solves what I wanted, which was slightly harder versions of the monsters with, a little more increased rate, just as for getting over the hump.
Yeah, I think I've also been getting like more gems and stuff, the orbs from monsters in those harder quests. Like I remember particularly in my stream, the last thing that I hunted in my stream was the very final quest with the apexes, and in that quest I got like 3 gems. I was like, whoa,
nice.
So yeah,
thank you for your service, Hunter.
Yeah.
Yes, I hope to keep adding more. Yeah, they should just need every month they have those updates. Just add more and more. These are all great.
Yeah,
I enjoy those quests quite a bit.
I hope to see more of those because those are definitely the ones that I really want to do more of. And I know that my friends that play with me, they're also like, yeah, let's do the hard quests. Those are fun. We should do more of those and get better at that because that's cool. But I guess we should talk about the armor now. We're going to be talking about the armor from the final boss. So the final bosses. We're not going to talk about the fight, just the armor and the armor skills of the 2 final bosses. But just in case you guys don't want to listen to that, if you still haven't fought it and you want to like be surprised or something, feel free to peace out at this point. Yeah. So that armor,
they're still here. They're still here.
They're still here. Okay, I'm gonna give them a countdown. 3, 2, 1. Anything goes at this point.
Yeah. I mean, no, as we're not talking about the fight, and we're not naming the fight at all. We're just talking about the armor. So it's really not much. I don't even consider this a spoiler, but we're just being extra sensitive because I know some people do care about it. So
yeah.
But
so
you wanna give them the rundown?
Yeah. So we suspected this, like we talked about this previously, how the Ibushi and Narwa sets had one in each of a bunch of skills, and we're like, okay, so this is useless as a set as it is right now. There's nothing that activates these skills currently in the game. So the theory was that eventually they were going to do something that was going to enable those skills, and that's exactly what they did. You now have 3 upgrades that you can do on each of these armor pieces. And I say 3 upgrades because these are 3 stages. So you upgrade an armor piece all the way, that takes it up to like level 8 or something. After you can do that, you can upgrade it one more time using special items that you get from the final fight of the game. And then after you do that, you can upgrade it again to like level 11 or something, which is just going to give you more defense and stuff like that. But once you do that second upgrade with the parts that come from the final fight, then it's going to give you an extra skill in the set, which is called Storm Soul. Now, Storm Soul has 5 levels, and the first 3 levels give you like additional resistances. I don't remember exactly what the resistances are. No, actually, it's not resistances, it's extra damage.
No.
Gives you elemental damage.
Yeah, so the like Ibushi's armor normally has the wind alignment, which gives you additional dragon resistance.
Mm-hmm.
Narwa's had the thunder one, so you get thunder resistance. And this one is like the attack version, so it buffs both thunder and dragon attack. So it's like by 5, 10, and then 15%, I think. Yes. For level 3. Yeah.
And then on level 4, you get +1 to all armor skills. Just armor skills, so not decorations and not talismans. And then at +5, you get +2 to all armor skills, which what that means is if you wear the entire set, you can add +2 to everything that is on that set, which fills out most of the skills. Now, the cool thing is that Storm Soul gets added in both Ibushi and Narwa's set, so you can mix and match the pieces that have the skills that you want, and that lets you make some extremely interesting sets. So it was actually interesting because earlier this morning, well, really early this morning, it was like 4 a.m. when you sent me that message. And I see a message from Gaijin in Discord, and he's like, "Oh, what you think of this set?" And I look at the set, and I'm just like, "You mean the set that I've been wearing ever since the start of 3.0?" I think it's pretty good. But basically, with that set, this is the set I've made this build in my channel available yesterday because this is coming out on Saturday, and it just has like Evade Extended 3, Artillery 3, friggin' Guard 5, Guard Up 3. It's got redonkulous amounts of skills that on top of it, it adds 15% to Thunder and Dragon damage, like 15 resistance to Dragon, 15 resistance to Thunder. It's got redonkulous amount of skills and great luck on top of all of that stuff. So it's still missing a couple of things that I want it to have, but I'm willing to work around it, and you just get like a really fun, comfortable set. Now, you've adapted this also to dual blades.
Yeah, so I think this is, first I gotta say this. This is like a really creative, poetic solution in many ways. Like this I think is genius because one, it is the inverse of what Atal-Ka was. Atal-Ka would double your talisman. So if your talisman had two attack, it would be 4, and it would double all that. And so it really doubled down on getting either a good talisman with skills or one with really good decoration slots, and you can go crazy with it. But it was too powerful in many ways. This is perfectly balanced because they don't give you any decoration slots on these armors, but they do give you a very good fun grab. I don't think there's probably some weapons this just does not really interest people. But there are some weapons, I think, I think I wrote it out here, some notes. So I think Charged Blade, Gun Lance, absolutely. There's some really fun builds in there. I've adapted it also for Switch Axe, especially Dual Blades, and then Bow as well. But for Dual Blades, oh my gosh, I love it. It's I think for that one I'm using, and I also love the nature that obviously it's poetic mixing their two pieces together. You know, because it's like the two dragons, and then because it's 5 armor pieces, you're always going to have, no matter how you mix and match it, you're going to have 3 of one of them. Which means you're going to, and when it gets +2, it means you're going to get great luck no matter how you mix and match it. Like you're going to have someone at level 5, which I think is really cool. So I use a mix of Ibushi, Narwa, Ibushi, Narwa on my dual blades, and that gives me Constitution 4, Evade Window 4, Evade Extender 3, Power Prolonger 3, Stamina Surge 3, Marathon Runner 3, Evade Extender 3, and then for throwaways, there's Critical Draw 3 and Focus 3. Like I just stamina. What is that? I don't know what stamina is. The Holy Trinity.
The skills Evade Window 4 and Evade Extender 3, and I'm just like, oh my god, with dual blades, which dodges all the goddamn time. Like Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So not only am I in feral demon mode the entire hunt, because your stamina basically doesn't do anything. It doesn't go down. I mean, it does, but you know what I mean. It's crazy good. This also works really good for Insect Glaive. I noticed because like when I'm doing my aerial combo, my stamina is just like quickly replenishing. I can move far. I can evade a lot. You get the Power Prolonger 3. It's great. It's fantastic. So yeah, there are like 1 or 2 skills that maybe I don't care so much about. Actually, I think Focus actually works on Dual Blades. I think it helps you get up onto your Archdemon mode, which who cares about that at this point? But it's a fun. I mean, okay, you don't have attack 7, and you don't have. You could, if with the right charm, you could put Weakness Exploit if you want, and you do have to figure out a way to get the Brace Jewel on there if you're playing online. You have to have a weapon or a talisman with a deco or flinch free.
For
That's
dual blades,
really fun.
Why do you need flinch free? You put demon mode and you're immune.
Are you?
I'm pretty sure that in demon mode you don't get flinched.
Oh, if so, then I've been overkilling it. But like, and on top of that, this set has really high defense. It's like 515 or something. I don't. It's really high. Like when you add in the talons and the defense terms. So like, you already have great resistances and great defense, and you get all these comfort skills. I'll take this any day over like a critical I7 weakness exploit build. Like this is just fun. I really
Yeah,
like it.
it's a lot of fun. I haven't had access to like guard 5 in a good long while. It's just so comfy. It's like, oh, big bad thing coming. It's okay. I have guard up 3 and guard 5 in this goddamn set.
Yeah.
Just put up the shield, no problem, dude. Blocks almost anything. There are actually some attacks that are unblockable. Like, did you know that Zinogre has attacks that are unblockable even with guard up?
Wow.
Yeah,
Interesting.
there's this attack that he does where he puts like a little orb below you, and then lightning shoots from the sky and hits that orb. That's unblockable.
Huh.
Yeah. At
Interesting.
least I haven't been able to block it yet, which is kind of weird. I don't know if maybe I'm facing the shield wrong, but I don't think so. I just don't think you can block that. But it's just a super comfortable set. I called it the Chad gun lance because you can just block everything you want. It's not even a problem.
Yeah, I made a sheet of like 4 different configurations that are just like really just like so good. And like I was trying to figure out what weapon they might work well with. And I'm looking at the one that I think is the one that that you used that I sent. I think it is.
Yeah.
It's the let me see here.
I know that it starts with the
Yeah.
Ibushi helmet, and then Ibushi's helmet, Ibushi's chest, and then I think Narwa's gloves and
Narwa
belt, and
arms.
Ibushi's feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I'll leave out the level 3 because it gets confusing. Because just imagine these are all at max. Like you were saying, it's guard, guard up, part breaker, artillery, flinch free, slugger, focus, state extender. God damn. And then you've got the other configs. Like I imagine this might work for Charge Blade. There's a config where you can do 3 Narwas at the top, and then Ibushi, and then Narwa, and that gives you evade window, rapid morph, evade extender, power prolonger, marathon runner, part breaker, critical draw, constitution,
It
offensive
even
guard,
comes
and
with
guard.
power prolonger.
Yeah,
Offensive guard as well. Oh my god! Right, you can get offensive guard on that one because you don't need evade extender. I'm actually
yeah,
kind of jelly of the offensive guard. Like I wanted to have offensive guard, but you have to choose with the gun lance. Like, listen, you can have offensive guard or you can have evade extender. You can't have both. And I'm like, but I want them
yeah.
both. I want
Choose
my cake and I want to eat it too.
exactly. Yeah,
One,
because there's the other Charge Blade one, which is good. Which is if you don't use the extender. Yeah, and you do Narwa, Ibushi, Narwa, Narwa, Ibushi, and that gives guard, guard up, part breaker, artillery, offensive guard, flinch free, slugger, rapid morph. That's just like
Jesus Christ. Yeah.
And then for the bow and
I gotta
stuff, I'm
make a
using the
charge blade
config.
set from those.
Yeah, and then the one the idea I have for bows, and the one that I was using again was the Constitution, evade window, evade extender, power prolonger, stamina surge, a marathon runner, critical draw, and focus. I think the last, yeah, it's just, I mean, you get the idea. Like that, there's a few different configurations. They're not the strongest armor in the game by any means. They're not speedrunner material meta sets, but
That's
man, are
actually
they fun.
that's actually a good thing in my book. Like I'm actually happy because initially I thought like this is gonna be overpowered if they fill out all of these
Yeah,
things. But looking at it now, I'm like, actually, it's not. There's no attack up. There's no Wex. There's no critical eye, critical boost. These are not going to be overpowered. These are just going to be like comfy ass
yeah.
sets to
No,
have fun with.
no speed sharpening. No,
Yeah, that's
keep it in
actually what
mind. Yeah,
I'm trying to get. Like I'm trying to get something with load shells and speed sharpening. If I could get speed sharpening 3, I'd be like, done.
But what I love about it is that it gives great luck, right? So it's really good if
Yeah.
when during that phase where you're hunting for orbs and stuff, which you're gonna want to for a long time. Like it's just, it used to feel like a guilty skill to put on your set, right? Because in previous monster games out before World, you could only have like 5 or 6 max skills on your set. So if you were taking up like 2 slots just to put on luck, you were giving up a lot. So you either felt really bad because you weren't doing as much damage, or you felt bad because you didn't have any comfy skills. This gives you the comfort and it gives you the utility. So I do not feel bad at all about using them. I've got great defense. Depending on your configuration, you can have really good thunder resistance or really good dragon resistance. It's just an all around awesome idea, and I think they executed it perfectly. I 10 out of 10. It's great. I love it.
Yeah,
Again, I think some
I'm super
weapons
happy
won't.
about those sets.
Some weapons may look at those skills and be like, yeah, not enough of them interest me, you know. But for the weapons
But
that does,
for those
ooh,
weapons, but for those weapons that are looking for attack, I think it's important to point out this: like, if
Valstrax.
you're, yeah, exactly. If you're one of those weapons that wants a lot of attack, then you have also the experimental Valstrax stuff that you can play around with. Because that's the thing. It's like it's not like this set is meta for any weapon.
Nope.
So therefore, you also have something that you can play with using the Valstrax set, which I think is actually a really good balance.
But I also really love the balance of the end game monster quests, like you were talking about. The monsters hit harder, and then the Apex obviously hit a lot harder. It's such a great balance because, like with Apex Zinogre, for example, you can make some really, I'll say busted, like some busted sets. We could do that from 2.0, right? Like we've got Rapid Fire 3 and Pierce 3 and all that stuff, but we have like 390 defense. You are going to get eaten alive at 390 defense.
Yeah.
But that's the risk you get. You can tank in a ton of offensive skills if you're that good, or if you want, good is a horrible word. If you're playing a way that you can manage it,
If you are that
and then
proficient.
yeah, or you could be like me where I don't mind lazy casual hunting and getting hit. So I prefer sets with a lot of defense, and there's some really good options. So I think the balance is great. I mean, can you imagine take you back a few years and I told you there's going to be a Monster Hunter game in which a lot of players are going to be using Hunter S legs. Even in the end game, you'd be like, what?
Yeah, right.
But here we are, the Juratotus arms. Like, yeah, they're all Ingot S legs. They're all legit. And they're going to remain legit because they didn't make a busted set. And I kind of think that's why they avoided Apex Monster sets, because there was already so much commitment. People did not, they knew that Rampage, they didn't know how it was going to play out. It was going to be a hit or miss. How are people going to like it? So they tuned it in a way so that it's pretty easy. It's just, it's more of how much can you find fun in the Rampage system? And it differs from person to person and situation to situation, but they're not like required hardcore, which is good because it allows it to be more experimental. Where I think if they made like an Apex set, even though I want to see that in Ultimate, we gotta have it because the designs have to be badass. Like for the base game, I could almost see why they might want to avoid it, just because people would expect it to be like that one level higher or better. But when you look at it, they're actually the easiest things to farm because the Rampages are really hard to fail. So, I think the balance is. I think the balance of armors in this game is really good. I'm happy with it. But man, does it take up a lot of Zenny, man? When you're playing a lot of weapons. Some of those upgrades are like 60,000 Zenny a pop. Oh my gosh!
I just crafted the Valstrax sword and shield, and it was like, oh my god, I'm taking a pretty beefy, chunky hit here. Like I've cut my Zenny in less than half over the last couple of days. It's like, Jesus, time to get back to that flooded forest, grind like a crap ton more Zenny. Although I'm not sure if I need to. I got to check up how many eggs I've been getting, because I've been getting a lot of eggs. So maybe I don't have to grind.
Oh yeah, and they sell for a lot. And you know what likes to help people out with the 1.0 final boss, kind of like the traditional Narwa hunt. She loves it. So she does that still for fun. And when she's helping out other hunters, the helper rewards always are giving her golden eggs. So she's like, I'll just sell those, and I've got money.
Oh right.
I think when I
hunt with someone, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know the exact conditions on when you get it. Whether it's someone who's clearing it for the first time or someone who's lower HR than you, I don't know the conditions. But the helper rewards are really good in this game.
Yeah, like I was wondering, because pretty much most of the people I play with, now excluding you and Yuna, but usually I'm higher rank than them. So
yeah, Yuna's higher than you by 2 ranks.
Yeah, you both of you are higher than me. I spent too much time in the training room.
Yeah, making stuff while we've just been goofing around playing. You've been more productive.
Yeah, productive is the right word.
But, yeah. Oh, you've been a machine, man. I love your content. You've been putting out a lot of good stuff. Just take care of yourself. Don't
Thank you.
overdo it.
Yeah, after
But
we're done recording this, I'm just like,
bonk.
crawl into a bed and die
But,
until tomorrow.
so I guess we should talk about the new battle arena, shouldn't we?
I mean, yeah, we already gave like the spoiler warning, so people that didn't want it to hear about Ibushi and Narwa probably have already left. So
Yeah, so like I'll say it. So now I'll take the heat if people were upset. So they announced in the patch notes that there would be a new battle arena to fight, and that is a new. Sort of like in the old games when you had like the top of the tower, it just had a few areas where you might be able to hide behind, but in the most part, it's just an open space for you and some really strong monsters to slug it out. Like where you fought like Lucent Nargacuga and stuff like that. It feels like that area, but it's not that area. It's based off of, I want to say the Coral Highlands, even though it's not. That's the world, right? The Coral Palace.
yeah, the Coral Palace.
So if you yeah, so it feels like a different part of that map, which is cool, and it's got a really beautiful aesthetic, very Japanese, and you just feel like you're in these ancient Japanese ruins, and the sunset is gorgeously purple and red, and it's just the rust and or whatever it is, the chemical makes the water look like it's blood because it's like it's got that red water and stuff, and it's not a huge map. It's just a battle arena, so it's like the existence of this is not a big deal, but I think it's a fun area for the harder fights that they're going to probably add, I guess, each month, because they did not just create a new map.
Yeah, to have like two fights
for 2 quests, 2 fights. No, and the cool thing is like this map is all flat, and then on the back end there's a slope. So if you are, I'm thinking Hammer Bros,
they're the only ones.
They're the only ones. They still got a sliding attack, and the affinity gives you plus 30 affinity for the one slot skill. So you could just lure the monster over there and abuse that. They have an additional 30%, but it's hard to fight on a logic course.
Yeah.
But it's a cool map. I love the atmosphere. It just feels really, really nice.
And I hadn't even noticed like all the stuff that was happening with the sky until you pointed it out to me. So if there's one thing that I can tell people is when you do get to this, and all you got to do is start like completing quests. By the time you start wrapping up all of the Hunter Rank 7 quests, you will start getting these ones. But when you do get to that map, like really pay attention to the sky, because there's changes that happen in the sky that Gaijin was pointing out when we were playing earlier today. I was like, crap, when I came here the first time, I didn't even notice. Jesus Christ. Sky changes and all kinds of cool stuff happens. It's really, really well done.
That was all Yuna. We're in the middle of the hunt, and I noticed her owl was out, and she was taking a picture. And then she's like, "Look at this! Look at the moon." I'm like, "Oh, wow, okay, that's nice," you know. And
like
so it's a very.
That's how you know Yuna's comfort level. She's like, "Oh, these are the last 2 more challenging hunts of the game. Let me just whoop out my Kahoot and take a couple of pictures here real quick while we're in the middle of battle."
And she doesn't die, so she knows the distance of where she's safe and where she's not. And she's so fast, she can get some really good pictures. She got a picture of the Apex Diablos charging straight at her with right after the roar. She got a picture of it, and she didn't get hit. I'm like, what? Like she go boop, 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 and she gets out, and she could take a picture and evade roll. I'm like, how do you do that?
Damn.
So I'm really jealous. I want to take cool pictures, but I'm an old man, so I'm like, what? Okay, the right stick. Left stick. Zoom out. It takes me 20 seconds to get set up.
We're too old, dude. We're just too old.
And
Yuna's looking at both of us and going like, the future is now, old man. Like,
so it makes me wish that I wish there was an option. Maybe there is. I don't know. But I wish there was an option where when you choose camera, it defaults to either the normal camera or the Kahoot. I would love it to initially just start with Kahoot. That would be awesome.
I don't think
that would allow it
there's
to make
an option for that. No.
That would help us old men take better shots during hunts.
I can barely like do the stickers thing. Yuna's just like posting stickers. I'm like, oh, let me use my old man hands to go to the stickers menu and like actually put up the sticker too.
Yeah, but Monster Hunter Rise is a game for the eyes, right?
Yeah.
As much as it is the game for the hands, it's a visual delight, as I call it.
So it's good.
It's game porn, okay? It's amazing.
Straight up.
So I'm excited because they create a new arena, which means they're going to use it, which means I think we can expect that, where I don't think looking at that roadmap that we're looking at like new monsters coming at all anytime soon, or if at all, who knows. But if they're going to be adding event quests and they got this cool new arena, that's going to be pretty dope. I want to see what they do.
I hope they come up with some better events, because I feel like the events that we've gotten this time around have been very few and not as interesting as the ones that we got for World for sure. So I'm hoping that they come up with something better over the next couple of months.
Yeah, I think that's we talked about that last podcast. That's my biggest gripe. I think at this point is just they could do more with event quests, just with variation with what they already have to play with. But yeah, we'll see what they do. It's gonna be interesting. But I think they laid out a beautiful base game. Yeah. I think it's safe to judge it now. Like the content's all there. It's beautiful. The monster roster is much larger than I thought it was gonna be. Like, have you I
haven't counted it lately. No.
Like, go to Monster Hunter Try and see how many monsters were in that game, okay?
It's like 18 or 19 or something like that, I remember.
Yeah, that's it. So, like, I'm blown away by how much they were able to do. The new maps are all awesome. The systems are awesome. There's a good variation. Decos. The only thing I really want them to do, and this is for bow users, I want them to add in the bow charge plus decoration. They have to do it.
No, bow. Because bow's already too powerful. It's okay. They can play without that skill. Well, screw them.
Well, you are right. They are powerful.
It's literally like if you look at the time attack stuff, it's literally the most powerful weapon in the game, and it's not even close. And it's
okay. I guess maybe that's why then. Maybe that's why
because like, but people have been saying, and I don't know enough about bow to know about this, but people have been saying it's because of that animation canceling thing that you can do, where you go straight from like a charge shot to a power shot or something like that, and it cancels the animation.
It takes good timing. I can't do it so well, but it just takes really good timing. But yeah, you can dish out some really fast hits, really boom boom boom.
Yeah, I was watching some. I think it was Angbata. I don't know if it was Angbata or Fumito. It was one of them. He was talking about it, and I was just like, "What are those numbers? Or what the hell?" It's like, and then it's like 560 damage, and I was like,
600.
What's going on? Like that's more than a full burst. What do you mean? And I have to be like in the monster's face to do a full burst. How's that fair?
And I know people. And the aerial jump makes the weapon just chef kiss. It's so good. And everyone's like, oh, they misprogrammed it. I'm like, I don't think so. I mean, they just did an update and they didn't fix it. They didn't change it. And they fixed a lot of interesting bugs.
It's a feature. As if they didn't fix it by now, it's a feature.
At this point, yeah. They probably looked at it and said, you know what? Overall, it works. Yeah. So they decided it's a feature probably. So there's no way they're fixing it if they haven't already. So I think it's going to be a feature, and I think it's fantastic.
But then again, like you look at those time attacks, and it's like some of the bow times are like 2 minutes and a couple of seconds.
Yeah.
And then the worst one, which this is when I saw it. I don't know if it's changed since then. The worst one was Gunlance, which is like 4 minutes and something. And I'm just like, I mean, it's a 2 minute difference. Like, whatever.
Speedrunners, man, it's amazing. I was showing you into some other speedrunners. I like watching the videos because sometimes there's like, during that move you can do that, and then you can learn maybe 1 or 2 techniques that you could actually yourself pull off, and it helps enhance your game. So like, keep it up, guys. Like, I love the stuff.
I remember
but I can't mimic it.
I remember in the demo, one of the things that I learned was from Sarah's Symmetry, and it was because he was playing Gunlance against Mizu, trying to get the time as fast as he possibly could. And so one of the tricks was at a certain point in the fight, you would whip out the spider to get him into mountable state. And so after he gets him into mountable state, he puts down 2 bombs, sharpens, and then Wyvern fires. And I'm just like, what? Yeah. What is this? So there's like Wyvern fires, hits, gets the bomb explosions. I'm like, what is this? This is some crazy stuff. But that's the type of stuff that they come up with, which is really, really cool.
I love it. It's great. So, I mean, my overall thoughts with Update 3.0 is just incredibly positive. I'm just so happy with it. Like, for all the reasons we discussed, All the hunts are incredibly fun. We got some new things to play around with the event quest. I love the final armor, so to say. I think it was balanced really well. Um, I mean, I'm over 400 hours already, so like, yeah, I'm having a good time. I'm all my complaints are small enough that I'm like, yeah, this could be better. This could be better. But overall, man,
this
is the Monster Hunter of my dreams.
I was expecting a little bit more with 3.0. Again, the thing for me is what they did with 2.0 kind of set them up for when 3.0 came out and the amount of content, which I kind of suspected it was going to happen because you know how Socks said in the previous one, he was like plethora of monsters. So this time around, when Socks posted something about the update, I just went in there and I was like, plethora? And then he replies to me with that Nathan Fillion meme where he goes like, and I was just like, oh no.
I want to say it, but I can't. Well, I think, you know what I think it is if you look at the content that obviously did not get in the version 1.0, which normally would have been there, I think that was mixed in with like their DLC 1. And that's what made it so big. And I think the reason why they probably had to do that was because of Monster Hunter Stories 2 and the release date. Because otherwise, they could have easily taken 2.0 and split that into like, this month you got this, next month you got this, and the next month is 3.0, and it would be about the same volume, and it would feel really good. So I think they had no choice. So, but yeah, 2.0 was just ridiculous.
But yeah, for me, still, it was like ultimately as a whole, I was like, it's still pretty good. Like I'm okay with this. This is good. It was not excellent as I would have liked. Like I would have liked it a little bit more. But it's like, this is also good. And I actually did a poll on YouTube about this because I've seen a lot of comments on my streams as well as on YouTube videos of people complaining about they were very disappointed.
Yeah, lots of negative comments. I'm really
I mean, which is valid, by the way. We're not saying don't say bad things. You should definitely express your opinion so long as you do so respectfully, which people have done. So I was like, okay, so I'm curious. I want to take a pulse here. So I did a poll, and I was like, how do you feel about Monster Hunter Rise Update 3.0? And there were three options. It was excellent, it was okay, and it was disappointing. So it was excellent was 42%. So 42% of people thought it was pretty good. It was okay was 49%. So most people thought it was okay, and it was like almost a 50-50 split here. And only 9 people said that it was disappointing. So it's, again, one of those cases where it's a valid thing to think, but it is a minority. So, you know. And this was out of a sample size of 15,000 votes in this poll.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now, I should do a poll as well. It'd be interesting to find out. I'll give people a little bit more time to get through it, I guess, and then maybe after the weekend I'll do a poll and say, what did you think about it? But I mean, I'm in the camp that, you know, if I don't like something and someone actually liked it, like the Monster Hunter movie or something, and they're like, I thought it was actually really good, I'm like, I'm jealous. Like, that's awesome. Like, because I would have loved to enjoyed it. Yes. So if you found it, it's like food, right? You go to a restaurant and they serve food, and someone else next to you is like, oh my God, this tastes so good. And you're like, it's just not working with me. It tastes nasty. You're jealous. You want everything to be delicious. So if you find something great, then more power to you. I think that's awesome. There's some people who would say you can enjoy it, but you have to recognize that it's bad or flawed, and that's just wrong. But on the flip side, like you said, you can't just love it. Like, I've been gushing about this game. I'm not trying to say that anybody who criticizes is wrong. I mean, they're just as right as they know what they like and what they don't like.
Exactly.
So if they wanted more, they wanted more. If they're disappointed in what they got, they're disappointed, and that sucks. And I wish that wasn't the case. But I personally I'm over the top, man. I love it.
It's ultimately.
Plus, I'm also experiencing this with another player, and that just makes it even better. So there's a biased factor there.
If you have like a friend that you are playing with, it definitely gets way more fun. So yeah, there's that factor of it as well.
Context matters. Yeah.
But overall, like if this is all we were going to get, like this would still be my favorite Monster Hunter of all time.
Yeah, I'd be happy.
Yeah. This is pretty much it. And I've had this conversation with my friend as well, who started with Rise. He's like, even at 2.0, he was saying like, look, if there was nothing else after this, like this was already, he's like 180 hours in or something like that. And it's like, yeah, this, I mean, you know, and this is not even one of those things where we're talking about that analogy of time. I don't even go by that analogy that much, but you definitely get a ton of value with every single Monster Hunter game for sure. But
I know I gush about my daughter a lot because I'm a proud father, but she gave the best answer. I decided last night to ask her the taboo question. I said, well, now that we've gotten through most of the content, I'm like, it is compared to like your experience with Iceborne, which game do you think would be better? And she said both. Which one do you like the most? And she said both. They're
there
like,
you go.
They're both awesome in different ways. I love them both. I'm like, that's exactly the right answer.
There you go.
Yeah,
it doesn't get
wise beyond her years.
It doesn't get much better than that. It's one of those things. Why not both? It's just like both.
Exactly. They're different enough. So
anyway,
this has been fun. This has been fun to talk about with you. I find I'm interested to go try gun lancing Zinogre because you're saying it's so manageable.
You
should try dual blades against
it.
It
is manageable.
I think you got to get on those dual blades.
No, I'm. My thing is, whenever something would be done with dual blades, I'm like, I'm gonna do it with sword and shield because it's got a shield.
No.
Yes.
No.
Sword and shield is the best, dude. Sword and shield's so good.
It is really good. It is really good. I'll give you that. I've enjoyed it.
All right. But we're going to be calling it here, guys. If you guys enjoyed the show, as per usual, make sure to hit that like button. If you are on the YouTube, if you are on Spotify, I don't know what the equivalent is there. It's interesting. We published this to Spotify, and I don't actually know what the rating system is like there. But people are watching it there, so I assume you guys are enjoying it. But that is going to be it for today. Leave us your feedback, comment section, all of that good stuff. As per usual, all of Gaijin's links will be in the description box below. We'll see you guys in the next one. Stay strong, stay safe,
and happy hunting.